like to call to order the regular Rochester City Council meeting of April 10th, 2017. Madam Clerk, the roll.
Dalden.
Here.
Russell.
Here.
Vixen. Cuthbertson.
Here.
Jovenelli. Peterson.
Here.
Ray.
Here.
We'd like to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Want to welcome everybody this evening. Our first item is presentation of a proclamation regarding the Rochester Falcons Cheer Squad. Proclamation Celebrations of Champions Rochester High School Cheer Day, April 10th, 2017. Whereas the Rochester High School varsity competitive cheer team competed in the state's competitive cheer competition and came home as Michigan High School Athletic Association Division I state champions. And whereas the team is coached by Mrs. Susan Wood, this is Susan's 36th year of coaching. Cheerleading is a sport that takes dedication, athleticism, patience, and perfection. Their dedication and perseverance as a young team was proven at the 2017 Michigan High School Athletic Association Cheer Finals. Whereas the Rochester varsity competitive cheer team plays a key role at Rochester High School by promoting school spirit leadership, sportsmanship, and encourage and support all teams and individuals to make a commitment to excellence. And whereas the Rochester cheer team must demonstrate a commitment to teamwork, sportsmanship, discipline, must have the ability for elite stunting, jumping, tumbling, voice projection, showmanship, creativity, ability to learn cheers and chants, and be able to interact with the crowd and teams. And whereas the Rochester cheer team most importantly maintain high academic standards to participate as cheer team member. And now, therefore, do I, Kathy Dalden, Mayor of the City of Rochester, Michigan, do hereby include the 2017 Rochester Varsity Competitive Cheer Team and proclamation dated April 10th, 2017 as Celebrations of Champions Rochester High School Cheer Day. At this time, I'm going to have the City Council stand and we can congratulate each one of you.
Yeah, just go ahead and come
All the way through.
Why don't we go in?
Yeah, in front.
Yeah.
Is there coordinating after that, or we're just
Well,
we'll go wait on the line?
let's let Mayor and Mayor Pro Tem.
They'll be here and we'll work our way down. Yeah, you guys are the professionals. You guys want to tell us what to do?
Going that way, you can shake the hands of this council.
Congratulations. 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 Good job.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you.
Awesome job.
Thank you.
Congrats. Great job. Awesome job. Great job. Fantastic. Keep up the good work. Keep studying. Fantastic. One other thing, good job. Keep up the hard work. Awesome dedication. Fantastic. Good job. You betcha. Congratulations. Way to go, coach. You got it.
Yeah, I know. Go Falcons.
Very nice, kid. Thank you. Oh, I'm going to
was
be
the
getting good at this.
proverbial thesaurus of
We go home now. Yeah.
acknowledgements.
Next, we will have a presentation of a resolution in support of the Lee family and their business. Whereas the City of Rochester has made aware that Mr. and Mrs. Lee have requested community support regarding an ongoing immigration matter concerning Mrs. Lee. And whereas Mr. Lee and his family have owned Knapp's Donuts, a long-standing Rochester business since 1996. And whereas Mrs. Lee has worked with David Lee to manage Knapp's Donuts, and whereas the City of Rochester views Knapp's Donuts as an integral part of our community, and the Lees have shown good moral character and outstanding service for the City of Rochester. Whereas if the Lee family were no longer operate Knapp's Donuts, the impact to the city would be negative, and there would be a void on our main street. And whereas the City of Rochester considers the Lees valued members of our community, both because of their contributions to downtown Rochester and as residents in the neighboring Rochester Hills. And now therefore, as the mayor and the city council of Rochester pass this resolution to demonstrate our support of the Lee family and their landmark business, Knapp's Donuts, in the city of Rochester, state of Michigan. Please come forward.
Yep. We'll be in for sour creams.
All right. Item 4C, presentation from the Oakland County Equalization. Mr. City Manager. Is he in the audience this evening, Oakland County? Oh, my goodness.
I'm here yet. So.
All right, so we'll go ahead and move on.
Yep.
We have a big, busy agenda this evening. Next, I would like to invite miscellaneous public comment to come forward at this time. Yep, this is regular miscellaneous public comment.
I'm confused. I've been looking at the master plan, and there are several inconsistencies in it, which I'll mention at the next meeting. But this is supposed to be the existing land use. Now somehow, in all of this, 01 and 02 has disappeared, even though it is cited in the master plan. This is another map that's online that I think Nick referred me to and said the blues were close color. Well, yeah, it has no date on it. And you know what? You can get the date with the PDF files. You just click properties and hit the first box. And this was created on 10/23/2006. Why is this still up there? And why was, I don't care what colors of blue they used then. They did it right. That's all I can say. In 2006, they did it right. And here's the existing land use map, and they have taken office and made it all one color. Now, when did that happen? What happened to the 0102? Because it is in the master plan. It is defined in the master plan. It didn't make it to any of these maps, and this one map is useless. So, what's going on here? Is there some kind of a scam going on? Are you trying to fool people? I mean, because, like, on my property in the master plan, wait a minute. Why don't we change the frontage on your property so it's non-conforming? Don't laugh.
I'm not laughing.
Well,
I was just going to.
You smirked.
I was just going to say that we will take your concerns under advisement and get back to you with the formal report.
Well, I've heard this
That's
for
all.
months and months and months and months.
Well, this is the first
This
meeting.
is every parcel in the city that is office that has less than 100-foot frontage, now has to have 100-foot frontage, and is, if you activate that stuff in the master plan, and will be non-conforming. Every one. Now, Nick has said it was a mistake.
It's hard to follow this, so if you could please put it in writing. You're kind of all over the place. If you could get it down to what you're asking, I can't follow.
I am.
And I'll be glad to get an answer for you. The
Well.
maps aren't any fraud. I just don't know what you're asking. So if you get it to me, I'll get it for you, I promise.
Maybe they understand.
Maybe they do.
Almost every other district that had residential and has another use has either no frontage requirement or the frontage requirement that their property had. I will be presenting that in deeper detail at the next meeting.
Okay.
But, this just sort of blew my mind when I found this map up there and then was able to bring up the date and everything. I can tell you what software was even used and what version.
Okay,
So
thank you.
I would like to know, there are inconsistencies between the maps and the master plan, and the written word and the master plan.
All right,
And
we will definitely take a look at it.
within the master plan itself. And I'm going to write those up. I'll
Okay.
use them for the next meeting.
Okay,
Okay, the other thing I just wanted to say is filing deadline is the 25th of April. It's coming up soon. If anybody wants to run for council, they should jump in. And there are people who I have seen have not been real good at doing filings and stuff that might be thinking of running, and I don't know. But if they are, it'll be out there, I promise you.
thank you.
Your Honor, if I could
Yes.
add
It's
to
online.
that.
It's online. Anybody can look at it.
If I could add to that, it's 4 p.m. that day.
Okay.
Tuesday, April 25th at 4 p.m.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other miscellaneous comment this evening?
Paul Marzak, 1058 Bloomview Circle in Rochester. I have questions more so than statements. I understand, I was reading the packet this afternoon, and I understand that the sundial increase in cost is $67,000 approximately. Is that correct?
80-some thousand.
So it's $67,000 in addition to, so what is the total cost up to now? 270.
Sorry, City Council had approved, Madam Mayor, sorry.
Yes, please.
At the last meeting, a fronting of the project based to be deferred with fundraising. I think the total ended up being $272,385. I think it should be right in the minutes.
Well,
It's in the minutes.
I just want to go on record again stating that Stony Creek Ridge, the leadership at Stony Creek Ridge subdivision is very much opposed. They would like the money spent on more appropriate things such as fire engines, police training, whatever, and not on the sundial. And we definitely are opposed to it.
Thank you, Paul.
Okay. Next item is the legal service that I read in the packet, and I have some questions on the legal service. I understand that our current attorney is city attorney's going out on his own, and he's starting his own law firm, and we are leaving the firm that we were with and going with our city attorney. I wondered if this is going to increase our cost, and what kind of contract. Will the contract be the same as when we were with the firm? What is the contract? Is it going to go out to bid? Several questions.
Okay. I mean, we can try to answer some of them today, or go ahead.
I'd be happy to.
Okay.
The contract, there is a contract in place, and it would just be assigning the current contract. So all the same rates, all the same terms would be the same.
Is the same terms will be
That's
in
right.
place. So the contract is up at what time? At what year?
I don't recall.
Okay.
I don't recall.
Was it a 5-year, 7-year?
It's a 5-year. I just don't remember when the last contract, or because I'm on my second contract with the city of Rochester, so I don't remember exactly which year this current one started.
We'll get that for you, Mr. Marzak.
Thank you. And will this cause an increase in cost to the firm that handles for example, the environment and brownfield cases or any of the cases, since I'm assuming this was a piece of business for this firm, and they gave us rates for doing other business with us based on the fact that they were part of being our city attorney. Are they going to change the rates and increase those rates as a result?
Mr. City Attorney?
I can't speak for my soon-to-be former firm, but that's not the intent, is to increase. The city also always has the opportunity and ability to switch or to negotiate differently. That doesn't change, so the rates, as I understand them, aren't going to increase for those particular two items, the brownfield environmental, because Mr. Haynes from my office, he will continue to do it based on my recommendation that he continue in that fashion.
Okay, thank you. The water hearing, is that going to be open for comment? so I can save my comments?
There is a portion for public
Yeah.
comment in
Yes.
there. Yeah.
There is a portion, okay. And last but not least, on the whole idea of the homeowner that was here before council and the discussion that occurred at the last I think it was the last meeting. Personally, not speaking for my subdivision, but personally, I feel that the individual homeowner has the right to opt in or out, and if the individual homeowner does not want to be a part of this historical plan, they should not be forced to.
Thank you, Mr. Marzak.
Thank you.
Have a good day. Ms. Turner,
Good evening.
good evening.
Jane Turner, Parkdale, Rochester. Several things. I'll try to be really quick.
Please do, thank you.
There was a tree removed for the sundial today. Is the cost of the 4 DPW guys that were removing the tree added to that 270? Why?
Because it's a line item in the contract. Sorry, it's a line item in the contract.
Okay, but
That
that's
was
an
that was
that's an
accounted for,
additional
right?
cost to the city that's being.
No, it was
Okay.
part of, we bill back.
All right. The company that wanted to put towers up, or antennas on top of the water tower, have they done that yet?
They've not. They're doing engineering work right now.
Okay, because I saw a strange truck over there, and I didn't know.
Yeah, there's another firm that is looking at potentially going on the tower, but they
An additional one?
correct. So far, my understanding is they've actually told us that it's not going to give them the line of sight that they're looking for.
Did we get the security clearance for the people who were going to have access to the water tower?
Yes.
We did,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yep.
Okay. I brought this up the last time. I haven't been here since December, but I have been watching.
I know you have.
I asked at the last time I was here if you could send email alerts like you do for the meetings, if you sign up, for public hearings. I'd also like to have them expand that to the committees and commissions when they're having their hearings. I know you've been having the infrastructure. I never know when they're meeting. It would be nice if I could get an alert to let me know that something's going on.
Mr. City Manager, is the new software going to have?
Yep, we'll be able to, yeah. In addition, I'll send you a link where you can actually sign up for which specific committees you're interested in.
Well, on the website, it gives you the Planning Commission,
Right.
one other, and then the council. It doesn't give you any other choices.
Right, we can actually, with the new software the mayor was talking about, we can actually set that up so that you can get it for any of the different boards or commissions that we have.
Okay. Also, on the check register tonight, what does Badger Meter do for us?
I was going to say, I
For
see our-
$22,880?
Yep, that's our software that's tied in with our water meter system. So it allows for detection of leaks, along with some other things. I was going to say, I see our assistant finance director in the back and our finance director behind you. I don't know if either one of them would kind of like to comment further on what Badger actually provides to both Public Works and the finance department.
Sure, be happy to. Badger Meter, for all the irrigation meters that are getting pulled, we purchase those from Badger, and then we get the money back when the people are pulling and paying for the permits. So we have to buy the meters first, then we transfer it over.
So this is a one-time charge. It's not a monthly.
No, it's
deal.
as they come in, as with
Okay.
the due date coming up at
So
the end
just
of the month.
basically for the.
Yeah,
it's
you'll probably see a couple more
Okay.
over the next
They're
30 days.
pre-purchasing them, and then when
Yep,
people...
I got it.
Okay.
Also, I noticed another $25,907 for Superior Air Ground Ambulance contractual something or another that I can't read my writing. Are we under contract with Air Ambulance with the hospital a mile away? I know on occasion we probably would need one, but $25,000 worth?
Thanks, Anthony.
Yeah, Superior does the fire department's medics 24/7, so they bill us every block of time, pretty much whenever they get around to doing the block of time. Send us a bill for the medics' hours and that. For I'd have to
Ambulance.
look at the actual invoice to see
Yep.
what time period that covered, but those are recurring as often as they
It's
bill.
not air, it is,
No, that's just the company
that's
name.
the name of the company, Ms. Turner. It's not an
It's-
air.
we
So you,
refer to it
so
as
you're
Superior
perfect, yeah, so you
Ambulance,
understand, this is just
So
the
our medics
ambulance.
are not, they're
Flying.
paid through this contract, not through the city?
That is correct.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
That makes more
And then
sense.
get what
Thank
we
you.
reimbursed.
And I'd like to congratulate the city for, after 200 years, making progress in women's lib. We've hired a woman DPW. Yay. How many fire trucks does the city have?
Say if you, we actually have that listed in what we'll be posting tomorrow, the evolving equipment. So I don't know if you're referring to engines and all the
Engines.
pieces
Get
of
that list
equipment.
for you.
Yeah.
If we-
Yeah, I can get you that list. So there's engines, there's the
Well,
pumper
is there like
trucks.
four?
I was gonna say I'm trying to remember from what's in the garage.
A
Yeah.
ladder, 2 ambulances, a squad.
No, okay, how many, of three of those fight fires?
They all have a roll. There's 3 with pumps, 1 with a brass that has a pump as well. The other ones have equipment. They all have a different purpose too.
Okay.
Anything else, Ms. Turner?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I haven't finished with this one yet. And how many firefighters do we have on call at any given point?
45.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think the number is just under 50.
On call,
Correct.
24 hours a day?
Right. So when there's a call, they actually get paged out.
Okay, but they're not scheduled, like, off time
No,
and
we
stuff
don't
like
know.
that?
They're
we
not.
vote
Yep,
no.
they're volunteer.
Well, I know, but
Oh.
volunteers can schedule out
Yeah.
for vacations and stuff, so you don't have 50 people 24/7.
Correct.
I would
That's what I
assume.
said. There's just under 50, so there's a pool. So when that call goes out, we would know if maybe 1 or 2 of them are going to be out of service, if they're going to be out of the area.
Okay.
But in general, there's the number's just under 50.
I'd like to know, the last 2 big fires we had, the one on Oak Street last summer and then the one on the east side the night of the last council meeting, we hauled in, I think that one over there was Troy, Rochester Hills, and I think maybe Oakland Township, plus, don't we have enough equipment to handle that we need 3 or 4 other communities to come in and help us?
So we have mutual aid, as do other communities. So for various types of fires, we actually are going to call in the services so that we feel is appropriate. So our fire chief was, out on that scene and called in for additional service, just as we've been called over for some of our neighbors. When the mutual
Well, did
alarm-
all of our equipment go there?
I don't know if eventually I believe all of the equipment, and the reason why I'm looking at Anthony, he's also on he's one of the
I know.
volunteers okay. Yeah, I believe almost all, if not all of our equipment was eventually there.
Okay.
Any-
And it took me a couple hours of going through this material. Oh, the other thing I wanted to bring up, your agenda and package didn't hit my email until 7 o'clock Friday night.
Okay.
Well, your office is closed, so if I have any questions or need material to bring here, I have to go in on Monday morning and work Monday afternoon to go through it all. Is there any way that we can put a deadline prior to Friday?
We are working on that very
Okay.
diligently. So, yes, we are definitely addressing that.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, sorry.
I'm sorry, I have one more question. We're proposing to spend $1 million on property that's owned by Mr. Rewald. Am I correct?
So we'll go over that item agenda and then you
There's a
can-
loan involved in this. Who's paying the interest on that loan?
We will discuss all of that at the item agenda. I'd rather wait till we actually
Okay.
do that, Paul. It would be
Okay,
better.
that's
Thank
fine.
you. Any other miscellaneous public comment this evening? Going once? All righty. Next, we will move on to the approval of the minutes. Consideration of the minutes of the regular meeting of March 13th, 2017, and the regular meeting of March 27th, 2017.
So moved.
I have a motion by Councilmember Peterson. Do I have a second?
Support.
Support by Councilmember Ray. Any adjustments or questions on the minutes? None being heard. Madam Clerk, the roll, please.
Dalden.
Yes.
Russell.
Yes.
Cuthbertson.
Yes.
Peterson.
Yes.
Ray.
Yes.
Thank you. Next, I will move on to approval of the consent agenda. I have 10 items this evening.
Madam Mayor?
Yes, absolutely.
Did we have the minutes for the 27th as well?
Yes, that was, yep.
Yeah, she read
Yep.
both.
Oh, I'm sorry. I
Oh,
thought
no,
the
she-
motion was only to approve.
No, I actually read both at the same time. So let me go back and did you want to?
I did want to add
Okay.
something to this, to the 27th.
So I will take, do you want me to do, okay, so, okay, we can go ahead. Yes, Councilmember Cuthbertson.
Yeah, with respect to the minutes of the 27th on page 3, I did indicate with respect to the landmark property listing that the homeowner presented no evidence challenging the findings of the Historic District Study Committee, and that no contest to those findings were made or offered. So I want that reflected in the minutes, please.
Motion.
Support, that's
Okay,
fine.
Okay,
Yep.
Councilmember Ray?
Agree.
Okay. Do you need me to call the roll again?
No, I think.
Okay, wonderful. All right, so,
I apologize.
no, thank you. You're going to have to help me with the last name of confirmation of Shannon Villarecki, thank you, as DPW Director. Item B, consideration of a special event application from the Kiwanis Club of Rochester to hold music in the park on Thursday between June 15th and July 27th, 2017 in the municipal park. Item C, consideration of a special event application from the Leader Dogs for the Blind to hold the Bark and Brew event with the Rochester Mills Brewery on Saturday, June 13th. Consideration of a special event application from Rah to hold an Earth Day 5K fun run on Sunday, April 23rd, 2017 from 8:30 a.m. to 11. That should not be p.m. I'm guessing that should be a.m.
I believe that's a typo.
I'm glad I'm knowing what I'm reading. Consideration of a request for a block party for Stony Point on Saturday, July 22nd from 5 p.m. to 12 a.m. Is that correct? 12 a.m.?
That's midnight.
Yeah, that's midnight. That's, okay. So I will continue to read on. Consideration of an award of contract regarding the Bicentennial Plaza. Consideration of a request to acknowledge receipt of the proposed fiscal year ending 2018 annual budget and to set the public hearing for the annual budget for April 24th, 2017. Consideration of a request to purchase the 2017 John Deere Gator. Consideration of a grant agreement with the State of Michigan and Oakland County for Help America Vote Act funds to purchase new voting equipment. And the last item is consideration of a resolution regarding city attorney services. Council. I'll go to the Mayor Pro Tem, then Councilmember Peterson.
I'd like to move to approve, but pulling E and H.
E and H. Any other pull, please? Councilmember
Madam
Peterson.
Mayor, I'd like to pull item D and item E.
Item D. We have E done, so good. So do we have a motion to approve A, B, F, G, I, and J?
I'm sorry, I read it wrong.
I'm
It's F.
sorry, F. Okay,
Yep.
so you want to pull.
Yep, so.
Oh, so I'm going to reread the motion. To approve A, B, C, G, I, and J. Do I have a motion? Motion by Councilmember Peterson, support by the Mayor Pro Tem. Madam Clerk, the roll, please.
Dalden.
Yes.
Russell.
Yes.
Cuthbertson.
Yes.
Peterson.
Here, yes.
Ray.
That's okay.
Yes.
I am going to go down in order. So item D, Mayor Pro Tem.
That was,
Oh, I'm sorry.
Madam
Yep.
Mayor, thank
Yes,
you.
no problem.
Question, I'd like to get clarification for the amount of cost that it is for RAH, the municipal entity of Oakland, Rochester, and Rochester Hills for the cost here for this event. I didn't see costs for the other events?
Mr. City Manager.
Actually, pull up the chief as well, because
Okay.
he's our coordinator for our special events as I'm flipping through here. Just to note what's the chief, and I'm not going to put words into his mouth, but in his cover memo to me, it was the department heads have reviewed the application and determined an estimated cost to support this particular event at $2,000.
Those costs would be spread against the Public Works Department, Police and Fire Department, Public Works to supply barricades at various locations, and then police and fire for manpower to support traffic assistance. These are obviously estimates. Actual costs would be cataloged once the event is complete.
Okay, so then how is that going to affect them later on? I mean, is it going to be a full itemized report then, so we know how much is, I just don't want any surprises to one of the municipal entities here in the community.
Well,
Let's see
that's why the $2,000 is listed here. Any itemized bill, if it reaches over the $1,000 limit, would be itemized to them, assuming there's a bill that is produced.
Okay.
So do I have a motion to move forward with the consideration of the special event application? And we adjusted the times on the agenda?
I saw that. If someone else wants to, I
So
will
moved.
support it.
Councilmember Ray, support?
Support.
Support by Councilmember Cuthbertson. Madam Clerk, the roll. Thank you, Chief.
Dalden?
Yes.
Russell?
Yes.
Cuthbertson?
Yes.
Peterson?
No.
Ray?
Yes.
Next is consideration of the request for the block party for Stony Point on Saturday. Item E. Mayor Pro Tem, you
Yeah.
pulled that one.
I pulled it because midnight is a bit late. Is there any, I'm trying to, it says a black party, I don't see, is there any music being played at that time? Is anybody, I don't see,
Mr. Zook's not here.
I know.
I know.
Yeah.
I think midnight's too late also, just as a,
Yeah. Lively town.
yeah.
I don't see that. I think on other issues, we have at the.
In the past, I think it's been 10 or 11.
Yes,
So-
so I think midnight's a little bit too late, and I don't see the details of it. It says picnic,
And then that was all, yes.
so.
So would you like to make a motion to approve it from 5 PM to
11?
11? Do I have support?
Support.
Support by Councilmember Cuthbertson. Any other discussion? Madam Clerk, the roll.
Dalden?
Yes.
Russell?
Yes.
Cuthbertson?
Yes.
Peterson?
Yes.
Ray?
Yes.
Item F is Councilmember Peterson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Looking at these two bids for the bicentennial project, I wanted to know whether or not any of the additional costs that have already been incurred by the city, are they actually stated in here?
If I may, Madam Mayor, there's been different pieces so far, cleaning the bricks, starting the gnomon, things like that. So it's all intermixed in here. This is the contractor's portion for the cement work, the project management, all that good stuff. So there are other items that add up to the $272,000. So I can't tell you which ones, where we are in each one, but they just started spending the money now. So, but this is just a piece within that 272. The 113 is for the flat work and all the items that you see on the column there.
Okay, so no one has been chosen yet out of these two?
Tonight, we're asking to award the bid to the low bid of Halls Becky Construction. That's who we're asking for tonight at 113,382 for this portion of the project.
Any other
Okay.
questions?
Yeah, I guess, why them then? Just because, just that little bit of cost difference?
No, they had experience. They built Shane Park in Birmingham, et cetera.
Okay.
So they interviewed these two firms and felt very strongly that this is a good fit for us. It happened to be the low bid, which is great, but this was not a take the low bid person. So they interviewed them, and they have great experience.
I will add, too, that this was a not-to-exceed amount, so then that does cap our costs.
Okay.
Okay, so Madam Mayor,
Yes,
sorry.
absolutely.
So what happens if there are any other additional issues that come up with this here
This
whatsoever?
is a not to exceed.
I
They
know,
can't
so
bill
then what
us.
happens to
They
the
can't
project?
bill us, so.
They
have
can't
to-
bill us, but they're still just going to work for free. Okay. I guess then the next question I have with that is, where is the itemized list of the additional costs then? Who did the items that caused all the additional cost?
So, complicated question. So there's other pieces of this. So the Noman was $50,000 with a contractor. There were bricks that had to be cleaned. So when you added this is just this contract. At the last meeting, we gave the itemized engineering report that explained all the items that made the 272. If I can get you back to you, if you will, but this is pieces of that. So there are obviously additional costs, but those are all itemized and billed out prior to this portion of the contract. So that's why we're kind of already spending the money. I think we spent $82,000 to date. And then with this contract, we'll complete the work.
And that list was provided in the
Last
last.
meeting, correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, no, not a problem.
Yep.
I just wish it would have been in here, then it would
Sure.
have made it easier. Then, Madam Mayor,
Yes.
two more questions. Is there a way to receive a list of, not those charges, moving forward, for who has made who has already contributed
Sure,
to the
absolutely.
donations and that?
Absolutely.
And I would really like it if we had this monthly on our agenda going forward, so there are no surprises, again.
A monthly report of revenue versus expense?
Yes,
We can do
correct.
that?
And progress.
Okay, yes.
All right, do I have a motion to move on item F? Mayor Pro Tem?
So moved.
So moved. Support by
Support.
Councilmember Ray. Madam Clerk, the roll, please.
Dalden?
Yes.
Russell?
Yes.
Cuthbertson?
Yes.
Peterson?
No.
Ray?
Yes.
Item H, Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes, I pulled item H just to talk a little bit about this, and this purchase was not discussed prior in our goals and objectives and in the budget of last year, but I see why it makes sense. I wanted to pull this because I want it reflected in the minutes that I'm a big fan of having a gator going up and down the trails instead of a truck. So if we're purchasing something like this, and I see that it's used for the trailway systems, when we put the trucks up and down the trails, it really damages them. Especially on the Clinton River Trail, it's even more damaging because of the clay ground. So I hope that I see this gator and I don't see the trucks on the trail. So motion to approve this
Support.
purchase.
Madam Clerk, the roll, please. It was item H, yes. Thank you.
Dalden?
Yes.
Russell?
Yes.
Cuthbertson?
Yes.
Peterson?
Yes.
Ray?
Yes.
Next is old business tabled items, consideration of an award of contract for auditing services. Mr. City Manager.
All right, thank you. For this item, the city received requests for proposals. There were 4. At council's direction at the last meeting, administration and finance actually drafted a memo. I'm just going to hit a few of the highlights. Our analysis, administration and finance pointed out that we are in the process of implementing our new enterprise resource planning software. That's basically our financial software that's going to help us really move from a 31-year-old system into a much more modern system. So having our current auditor, that would be a great benefit as we're setting up all of the components there. Our finance team has two new individuals, one new individual and one who was promoted. So having those individuals work with our auditor, we would have a stronger team. The difference in pricing between the two lowest is about $3,000 over the 5-year agreement, and then the experience that both administration and finance has had. We have had no issues with the advice, expertise, or timeliness of our current auditor. So with that, we are recommending that the contract for auditing services remain with PSLZ LLP.
Thank you. Any comments before I move to council? Just want to make sure I don't forget. All right. Council.
So moved.
Councilmember Ray, support by the Mayor Pro Tem. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, the roll, please.
Dalden?
Yes.
Russell?
Yes.
Cuthbertson?
Yes.
Peterson?
Yes.
Ray?
Yes.
Thank you. Next, we'll move on to public hearings. We have 3 public hearings this evening. The first public hearing regarding drinking water revolving fund project plan. Mr. City Manager, anything before I open the public hearing, please?
I'll have one of our consultants, Chris, if you could come up and actually provide a brief presentation, and then
And I'll open the
I think opening the
Okay.
public hearing would be appropriate. So,
Thank
Chris,
you.
or did you just want me to?
No, I think we can just, well, we can just open it, but
Okay.
I do need to have
Oh, you got them in your hands. Okay.
everyone who's here put their name and address on this sheet for me, please. It's for the MDQ. They need to have a record of who's here.
For the public hearing.
For,
Pretty sure that
for the
they
whole,
call you.
for all the audience?
For everybody and the
So
council.
start
Okay.
passing
Let
around.
me start back there. Yeah.
Wow.
And,
Yeah,
and
I know.
That's
and then-
legit.
Well, they want to know.
And then council actually
Yeah.
has what I think what you have in your hand.
Absolutely,
Did,
yeah.
did we have a PowerPoint?
We could pull up the agenda packet.
I think if,
Because I don't have enough copies for everybody.
Sure.
in the
Yeah,
audience.
If we have these.
yeah, we have,
We have
council
all-
has
we have
everything, so
So
what,
just pull some,
Yeah.
Okay.
just put them out if
Um,
whoever
If
wants.
people could share, I thought we were gonna have the PowerPoint up on the screen, I'm sorry.
that's okay, go ahead.
Okay, so I guess you can open the public hearing and then.
Okay, and you can take any questions, or do you want me to just open the public hearing and then you can do, all right. So I'm going to go ahead and open the public hearing. If anybody would like to please come forward regarding the drinking water revolving fund project plan.
Now, you actually now want to talk at this point and then ask questions. Okay. So if that's all right,
Yeah.
Mayor. Okay.
Okay. It's not, no, but that's fine. Yep. And hopefully answer all your questions, and then you don't have to worry about coming forward. Thank you. Go ahead.
I'm Kristen Getzy from Johnson and Anderson. I have developed the project plan along with some of the other people at our office. And the DEQ requires certain items be covered during the project plan. So the items that I'm going to talk about are describing water quality needs and alternatives, the description of recommended alternatives with a cost, discussion of the project financing, and description of the social and environmental impact. And first of all, I'd like to just describe what the Drinking Water Revolving Fund is. It's a program set up to assist water suppliers in satisfying requirements of the Safe Drinking Water Act by offering low-interest loan to eligible water suppliers. And it was passed in the Michigan legislation in 1997. And through 2017, it has assisted approximately 285 projects totaling $890 million throughout the state. Just a little history on the DWRF. So the project overview for the city is we're proposing to rehabilitate 6,000 feet of transmission main from the water treatment plant to just inside the city limits. That transmission main, we found out from DPW records, was actually installed in 1895. It's had a couple of breaks in recent years, so we're proposing, based on the reliability study, to rehabilitate that transmission main. We're also proposing to rehabilitate approximately 14,000 feet of 4-inch, 6-inch, and 8-inch diameter distribution water system main throughout the city. And on page 4 of the handout, it shows the water mains that we're proposing to rehabilitate. There's Helen, South Street, Roselawn, Wesley, Castile, Mahaffey, Walnut, and Oak and Wilcox. Most of these water mains were installed in the 1920s. The 4-inch are cast iron, and the ones on Helen, Wilcox, and South Street have had several water main breaks in the past 5 years. We only got records from the DPW for the last 5 years. South Street has actually had 6 water main breaks on it in the past 5 years. So those are the streets that we're planning to rehabilitate. Costs for each of them are presented on the table here. and I can run through them pretty quickly. South Street, we're estimating will cost about 1.3 million. We're going to open cut that water main. We're proposing to open cut that and put in a 12-inch water main there. Part of the reason we want to open cut that is because at this point, we've not done any surveying or any engineering to determine the best way to do that. So we're proposing to open cut because that's probably going to be the most expensive, and we don't know where the existing utilities are. If you choose to directionally drill a new water main, you really need to know where the existing utilities are. And so we'll probably make a final decision on how we're going to do that one once all the engineering has been done.
Can I ask a question? So can you explain what open cut is?
Open cut is you cut a trench and you put the water main in the trench. So we're going to take out a lane of the road.
So you are affecting the road?
Yes. The
and
road
all of these you're
will be-
affecting the road?
No, not all of them.
Okay.
Just the two that we're proposing to open trench, which is Helen and South Street, because they can't be pipe burst. The rest of them we're proposing to pipe burst because we're only going up from a 4-inch to an 8-inch. Pipe bursting, you can only upsize 2 sizes. Pipe bursting has smaller pits where we're going to put in new hydrants and gate valves, and so there's just a small pit for that. And then they introduce the bursting head and the new pipe and pull it through the old pipe, and it cracks the old pipe as it goes along.
So you're not affecting the
So-
top of the surface?
Correct. You're only affecting the area where there's small pits.
Okay, thank you.
And that's how we're, if you look on the map, that's how we're proposing to upgrade the red water main on that map. And we're actually proposing to use pipe bursting for the transmission main as well, because we're going from a 10 and 12 up to a 12.
So my understanding is the open cut is only Helen and South Street?
Correct.
Okay.
So back to the cost, South Street open cut at approximately 1.3 million. Wesley, Roselawn, Castile, and Mahaffey, we've grouped all together because they're the same type of rehabilitation, and that project cost is just over $500,000. Walnut Boulevard, we've also will be pipe bursting, and that's just under $500,000. North Helen is about $800,000, and then Oak Street we've estimated at about $400,000. Wilcox about $600,000, and then the transmission main about $1.3 million for the rehab, with a total construction cost, including engineering and contract administration, at just over or almost $5.5 million for all the that water main rehab. Then on page 8, we have the addition of the planning services, which is developing the project plan, bond counsel fees, financing and legal services, and contingencies. So the total estimated project cost comes in at just under $6 million, which was what we were trying to hit so that it equaled the state revolving fund project that you're currently underway with. We wanted them to be very comparable in cost. Estimated cost savings, we're estimating that you're going to save about $3,000 a year not having to do water main break repairs on these particular mains that are suggesting rehab on. And the pumpage cost, because you're putting in new water main, the friction factor is much greater. So you don't lose, I don't know how to do this without being technical. You don't have as much head loss through the pipes, so your pumping cost at the water treatment plant should go down, and we're estimating that that's going to be about $40,000 a year once the new water mains are in. So we have to talk about the existing rate analysis, and the ordinance that was passed will cover the principal and interest on this loan. The existing rates are here, and I don't know that I need to go over them. I think everybody knows what those are. The proposed rates, the increase will be a fixed rate for a meter equivalent unit of $24 and a variable rate based on 100 cubic feet of use of 19 cents. So the average annual increase on the west side will be approximately $120 annually, per quarter, and that'll equal about $240 annually. And then on the east side, it will be the same increase, about
Chris, I just want to point out that, so per quarter, it's about $29.89
Oh, yes,
per
I'm
quarter.
sorry.
And then it's, for annually, it's just under $120.
Correct.
So I don't want anybody to panic and think quarterly it's $120.
No, it's
That's
not.
annually.
right.
And those are based on estimated usage. I know we've run some other scenarios in our finance department, and some of those numbers are, if people are using less, then the numbers are lower.
So the principal and interest on the loan is going to be about $381,000 annually. And the diagram on page 13 of the handout shows the cost savings over a conventional loan will be about $739 annually.
Thousand,
Yes, thank
just
you,
under
Blaine.
just under $750,000.
Yes. So, and we did that analysis with 3.5% interest rate on a conventional loan and 2.5% on the DWRF loan. 2.5% is what the DEQ has done the last 2 years. It's not a guaranteed interest rate, but it's what we've been using for all of our analysis. So, yes, the savings will be approximately $740,000 annually. So we have to also discuss social and environmental impacts. We had to send out numerous letters to state agencies, the State Historical Society, Fish and Wildlife, Natural Resources. All of the letters that we received back agreed with our assessment that there will be no environmental impacts during the course of these projects. There will obviously be some construction impacts, dust, road closures, that type of thing. We leave all of the mitigation of those impacts up to the contractors that are doing the work. And then the rate increase, as described, will be an impact as well.
Okay, so I will go ahead and take any public comments at this time. Please come forward. I'm opening the public hearing. And she's been open.
Yeah, turn the air on.
Yeah.
The air is down to 60.
Okay.
Okay.
Open the door.
I have some questions regarding the increases and also questions regarding the infrastructure on the east side of the city. The water mains on the east side of the city are newer. Everybody knows that. Who maintains those and at what cost?
So that we're not playing competition here, I'm going to give Chris the, make sure the power's on.
No, who maintains them? Is it the water from Shelby that maintains it? The city of Detroit? Who maintains those pipes?
The Rochester DPW maintains that system as well.
Okay, so the city of Rochester is responsible then for maintaining all the water infrastructure throughout the city, whether it comes from Detroit or whether it comes.
That's correct. There's both
Sure.
the well side that comes through our
Yes.
aquifers, as well as the water that comes from the Great Lakes Water Authority, which was formerly the Detroit system. Our Public Works maintains both.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you. So if a water main broke, the city, on the east side, the city would be responsible
Correct.
for repairing
Yep.
it. Now, the costs, I noticed the costs are relatively the same per unit. Is that correct?
Yes, the increase in costs are the same per unit, correct.
But all the infrastructure that's taking place is taking place on the west side of the city.
Yes, due to the age of that system, that is correct.
And the current cost that the residents on the west side of the city pay for their water is a lot less than those residents on the east side.
That is correct, yes, because of the
source
Shelby
of water,
Township
yeah.
supply.
The savings that is going to occur on an annual basis of approximately 43,000, I understand that's approximation. That is going to be distributed just to the west side people, or will that also be distributed to the east side people, since the east side people are also paying for this?
Yep, so that's actually, we have a water and sewer fund, so that savings actually goes across the whole city. So both the east and the west, it doesn't matter which part of the system you're on, that savings is gonna impact that water and sewer account.
Okay, and last question, are we going to see an increase in taxes as a result of this infrastructure project?
With these water projects, this is all baked in with the low-interest loan, along with the water and sewer rates that are going to pay for that loan. So there's not an increase that's proposed with this $6 million worth of water projects.
So there's no increase in taxes to be expected?
With this portion of the water project,
And,
yes.
and I understand.
Yeah.
With this portion?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Any other public list, please come forward. Two competing.
Has there been any discussion on putting this on the ballot?
To borrow money?
Hmm?
To apply for the low-interest loan?
As far as spending the expenditure goes
For spending the money that, maybe I'm not understanding your question.
well, maybe I'll just change the question. This is bond, correct?
It's going to be a low-interest loan
I understand.
that will actually,
Loan,
it
it's
will
not a
be,
bond.
No
It-
bond.
No bond.
right.
Huh?
No
Correct,
bond.
no bond. Not a bond.
Not a bond.
No.
So there's no opportunity to do a referendum, as
No.
with all
No.
other bonds.
No.
Correct, this is not a bond. It's a low-interest loan that we'd be
Okay.
applying
I
through.
want to put it on the ballot, and there's an opportunity for referendum.
If somebody could find us cheaper money to fix the water system, I'm all ears. So if you can
I'm
find,
not
if you can
saying
find
don't
something,
do it. I'm
that'd
just
be
trying
great.
to understand everything. I might even go out and support it and work for it.
I'm
You
I'm
know.
just putting it out there. If you can find cheaper
On-
money,
on-
let's do it.
On the east side, on the west side, when it says coming from the water treatment plant to the city limit, I'm a little confused on what the route of that is. Is it coming down Tinkin?
The actual transmission main, it literally goes down like cross-country. It's not down a road. It's down an easement for the transmission main.
So then the lines that go into the north end of town and downtown, they come from where?
Well,
I'm just trying to
The-
figure this
the
out
water-
because they've been there forever out in front of my house, in
Right.
North Main.
right. And I don't understand your question, but if you look at the map, the transmission mains are from the water treatment plant
I
to
see it.
the city.
It looks.
And then the city is the distribution mains.
I know, but there was a piece of Tinkin that was done as the project, correct, Mr. Cuthbertson? I think you said that one time, 3,000 some feet or something.
That was done under a different project with Rochester Hills. I think
understand that.
Rochester Hills
Wasn't
did that project.
3,000 feet. When the bridge was replaced, a certain section near to the bridge.
Well, I'm just,
was-
in all of
was
this,
done
I'm
at
just
that
trying
point.
to figure out here where where does the water up here come from?
It comes from right here. This is the water treatment
I
plant.
know where the water treatment
And
plant
it
is.
comes this way, and then I'm not sure which way it actually goes to get there.
I think
but
it goes both
through-
ways.
It probably does. I think you're probably right.
And these all through here are very old too.
Well, there's a new water main on Main Street for
Just-
part of it.
It's just downtown and a
Right.
couple blocks.
Right.
Ms.
The
Douglas,
rest of
did
it
you,
has the old main.
did you have anything else, Ms. Douglas? Did you have anything else?
No, I'm just getting my questions answered.
Great,
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ms. Turner?
Jane Turner, Parkdale, Rochester. What is the span of those, and are those all of the current water projects in the next 20 years? So what's the span of those projects that we were talking about?
These projects, first we have to apply for the loan. The project plan will be,
I know, but give me a year. Is it gonna be 2 years, 3 years, what?
we have to get the loan first. We have to get it first, and that will happen after the DEQ reviews all the projects. And we'll know in September probably whether or not we are on the priority list to get the loan. And then we'll have to go through all the engineering and such. The loan will close next September, and then the projects will start.
So Jane, we're looking
the
at
construction
approximately
project-
5 to 7 years
Okay, 5 to 7 years for only those projects.
for those ones that we're looking at.
From today,
Yes.
No, I meant the construction.
I would say 2 years from the close of the loan, those projects would probably
Okay.
be going on.
Yeah, so there's
And
going to be
then-
ongoing construction. They're not all going to be going on at the same time, so we don't disrupt traffic and everything.
I
Okay,
understand,
yeah, all
but
right.
I wanted to know, so this, what was it, $6 million?
Yes.
That's only for those projects?
Correct.
Correct.
And those projects are going to take approximately,
Probably
let's,
5 to
2 to 3 years.
Yeah, the whole time
Correct.
span's probably a 5 to 7 year time span to kind of go through it. But each project, if you look at some of them, they're going to maybe be a year. Some of them are a larger project that
Okay.
might be 2 years.
Okay. So we can't, this loan, we have to take the whole thing at once. It's not a revolving thing that we can go back and borrow from. So we're paying interest on it from day one
Correct.
for the whole thing.
Right. And this is a low interest loan compared to going out
I
to
know,
the,
but
okay. Yep.
what
Yep.
was it, 2.5%?
2.5%.
For $6 million is not peanuts.
Nope.
Okay. South Street. And I realize this is only,
It's because
I think
it's next to a mic.
Yeah.
I realize this is only, now I forgot what I was gonna say.
It's about South Street you were going.
South Street. This is the water portion. We're also doing roads and sewer on South Street. Are those all going to be combined at the same time? We're gonna be ripping up the street
yeah, we-
16,000
I'll say
times?
stay tuned, but that's part of the discussion. So
Well,
the
that's-
overall plan is you would be repairing the road when you're tearing up the pipes, so that we're not going to pour good asphalt or concrete and then tear it up. We're also working with our utilities, so if it's the power companies, if we can take some of the power lines actually and put them down. We're working with AT&T and Comcast and WOW, so if we have some of the cable lines, we're working with both gas and so we're working with the utilities as well to basically, if we're going to open something up, now's the time to actually put all that into the ground.
Okay. So you aren't not gonna be driving down South Street anytime soon. I know how the residents, the 24, and heaven knows what we're gonna do with the roads. But the commercial properties, how are the commercial properties charged?
By the size of their water meter.
That's
So
correct.
they're
Yeah, that's correct.
Size of the water meter or the number of water meters?
No, it's the size of the water meter.
Or the what? Okay.
Correct. And I don't know I know we're in here now too. We have, I think, 5 more meetings that we're actually get into a lot more detail and go over all of these things. We had one here at City Hall. We have 2 more coming up at the OPC. I have one at the library and then another one here at City Hall that actually we spend a whole hour going through a lot of the details. So I just want you to be aware of that as well.
Okay, but are they charged, how are they charged per the size of their water meter? I'm charged $24
Based on
quarter.
the size of the water meter expanding, that fee goes up per quarter substantially
range.
based on the size of the meter.
Yeah. I think some of them are almost up to $1,000 is what we're estimating when we're showing the chart. I'd be happy to actually get
$1,000 a
Yeah, so it
quarter.
depends. Correct. Yeah. So when
Plus
you look,
Water and
the
sewer.
variable fee.
Plus the variable
That's
fee.
the same across the board.
Okay. Also, I just wanted to comment. This is the water portion. All of that packet doesn't include your sewer portion. It took me a while to figure that out this afternoon. And I just want to thank you for 2016. I reduced my water
she's
sewer
going
bill
there.
by $341.99. The projected costs, I fudged the first bill for the year. For 2017, it's going to go up $293.61. So at least I had a year of not subsidizing the east side. Thank you.
Jane, I would also encourage you, Jane, to go to, we'll send you the dates
Well,
for
if I
those
knew when the
meetings.
meetings
Yeah,
were,
we
I
will
would
send them
go.
to you. Definitely, we'll send them. Go ahead and, Blank.
Can we maybe do the text at that point?
Yes.
So to all of our residents that sign up for that, because then they can have a chance to understand this.
Yep, we'll add it to the email and text at the.
Yep.
So any other comments, public comments for the public hearing on the drinking water revolving fund? So I will go, any correspondence, Madam Clerk?
No, Your Honor.
So I will go ahead and close the public hearing.
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
So I have some questions on understanding South Street, because South Street water table seems to be really low. And so is that going to be impacted?
Chris, don't disappear on me.
Yeah, don't leave. And then, so that's one question. The other question is the timetable once we receive the loan. Is that put into play with our engineers in our city, or is that put into, how does the clock start ticking? So once we're approved with the loan, then
Yes,
how
yes.
does that clock start? Like, which ones do we do? Do we have to do Helen and South? I mean, how does that mechanism work? Is that our decision?
Which construction projects get done when could certainly be your decision. The loan will close, but prior to the loan closing, we will have to take bids on all the construction contracts.
Okay.
So that we know exactly how much that loan will be for.
Okay.
So we'll get a milestone schedule from the DEQ once you're approved for the loan.
Okay.
And we'll have to meet all of the milestone dates. That includes some financial stuff that you have to do, the rate analysis, which you've done
Right.
for the SRF, has to be done for the DWRF, that kind of thing. And then once you have the bid contracts, you can close the loan. But we can certainly schedule them the way that the city would like them to be constructed.
Okay.
The DEQ's pretty lenient about how that happens once the loan is closed.
So once the loan is closed, we can kind of schedule around our infrastructure as a whole. And is there any time that we have to have this completed by?
No.
Okay.
There is usually not any time. In fact, I did one for 2016, and they're still working on it. Actually, it was 2015 we started.
Any other questions?
I was just going to say, technically, you have to have I think the construction work done by the time the loan's paid off. So, it would
20
be,
years?
Yeah, 20 years. So I
There
don't want
you
you to
go.
think
There
that
you
it's,
go. Yeah.
But
Okay, we've never run into
yeah, I
that
was going to
blame.
say, yeah, that's good. But I just wanted to clarify that.
So my concern is South Street and the transmission, because the transmission doesn't run straight. So I try to look on the map to see if it's going to impact residents and businesses. How does that impact them? Maybe there's no impact at all. And then South Street, I know that the water table is so, the water is so high right now. You can just see the water. Is there any seasonal, any issues that will impact this process?
We could definitely schedule the construction for when the water table is at its lowest.
Okay.
So is there going to be an impact? There might be an impact, but the contractors can deal with that. They know how to dewater and such, so that they can actually get the pipe in the ground.
And maybe I can jump in here too. So we're going to be planning when we're going to actually schedule both the water and the road component, so that we have as minimal impact on traffic, and also for the construction seasons. and to get the lowest price, so we have I guess the biggest bang for the low interest loan as possible.
Okay.
It should be noted that you can't get the whole road replaced with the DWR funds. You can only get the part of the road that the water main is under.
I do understand that.
Just so you know.
Unfortunately, yes, but thank you. And then the
Water on one side, sewer on the other.
So the transmission, am I saying it right? The transmission part of it?
The transmission main
The transmission main
from the treatment plant to
from the
the city, yes.
Yes, so how does that, does that impact anyone? Does that impact any business or any
Oh, no,
private? Okay.
no,
All
no,
right.
it
That's
should
all.
not.
All right.
It'll impact a couple of homeowners along the route, but the impact, if we use a pre-chlorinated Piperstein, will be
Very
minimal.
Okay,
Like,
very good.
They will be without water 6 to 8 hours on one day when they go by the front of the house.
Okay, that's what I needed to know. Thank you.
Any other questions from council? So no action needed other than having the public hearing.
And at your next meeting, you'll have to pass the resolution
Yes,
to
we'll
accept
have that
the-
on the, yep.
Yeah, on the
Private
next,
plan.
I was going to say, on the next agenda, but for tonight, you just needed to open and close and
Yep.
take questions.
Okay, great, thank you. Next, we'll move on to the public hearing regarding a special assessment district for the share cost of the bond debt on the new city parking platforms. Mr. City Manager.
Actually, Nick is going to
Okay,
be on.
Nick,
Gotcha.
Mr. Banda.
Back in February, Council, the Parking Advisory Committee met to do our, as promised, yearly review of where we were at with our parking fund. We've kept Council kind of in the loop here every quarter to tell you that where we stood, and Council made adjustments to the rate structure late last fall, actually late last summer, and with that, we are on track exactly where we want to be. So, there's maintenance built into that fund, and we had talked about all along, with brand-new structures, two of them, you don't have to worry for about 8 to 10 years for the next big project. So unlike other communities in our surrounding area that build up a huge war chest of money, because they can, on their parking fees, we decided to make ours as close to break even with a reasonable amount of money for routine maintenance and potentially resealing lots, something that could be a little bit more money. So we had a couple of built-in buffers. There was the $50,000 in the first year contribution from the DDA, $50,000 from the city. And then the business owners in the first year were assessed $255,000. Of that, $5,000 was for the cameras. So it was basically a $250,000 commitment to have their skin in the game on the project. So we got through the first year. We didn't need the DDA's money. We didn't need the city's money. The business money went in. So the PAC reviewed the plan again. If you remember, late last fall, we decided to meter two of the other lots to help adjust the rate and keep the rates at $1 an hour, et cetera. That was all completed and paid for. So we basically used the rest of the money from the PAC, the $12 million bonds, to get us where we are today. So now we monitor it every month. So they sat down and looked at it and said, it was a 3 one-year special assessments is what City Council, and we sold that to the business owners. We don't know if it's going to be 3, but it's 3 potential 1 year. So they looked at all the figures, came back and said they were comfortable with reducing, going to a second year of an assessment, but reducing it by 25%. So instead of $250,000 spread out throughout the businesses, it would be $187,700. Again, during the year, as promised, every time a tenant changed or somebody increased their parking or their parking was decreased based on their use intensity, then we had a chart, and I kept that thing going all year. So at the end of the year, we reevaluate all those again on February 7th and said adjustments. And so some had more, some had less parking. Then we recalculated every single business, wrote a letter to each one, said your square footage hasn't changed, but here's your use, here's your required parking. It's 25% less potentially of a bill if City Council passes this amendment. So the Parking Advisory Committee's recommendation was to go to 75% of the 250, or again, 187,700,000 for this year. Again, we would reevaluate next spring and see where we're at, and no commitment if it can go away or not. We'll adjust to see where we're at. So right now we're making what we're supposed to make. It's like $26,865 a week average with permits, fees from the meters, the decks, all that good stuff. We have hit the plateau of the permits. It's great. We said we would sell 50% of the decks and the surface parking lot to businesses, employees, whoever would like to buy a $20 monthly pass. We've hit that. We actually have a waiting list for the first time. So that's good. So people are taking advantage of that, and we're still performing exactly how we expected. So the PAC's recommendation is to, after a public hearing, have the city council set that rate at $187,700. So tonight is the public hearing for information. Then we would come back to confirm the roll at the April 24th meeting. We've already had one person call and say, I have some new information, so that will be adjusted in the into the chart. And then if anybody tonight has any comments, and then even after the confirmation of the roll, they have 30 more days to come in and refute and say, hey, there's something else that changed that would make a minor modification. So tonight's the public hearing, and then close that, and then next meeting we would be bring back the confirmation of the roll. Everybody has gotten their individual notices. It says this is not a bill. It explains exactly what's going on, and if they have any concerns, they could come tonight.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and open the public, go ahead, Deborah.
Can I ask
Yes.
maybe a question for administration, may be helpful to the public hearing? When council adjusted the parking rates last summer to more or less $1 per hour in metered lots and reduced from 2 hours to 1 hour free in the parking platforms, as a part of that motion was a recommendation and a request to, at the next renewal of or evaluation of the special assessment, to cut the number in half. And my look at the pro forma supported that. And even the numbers that have come up recently since then seem to support that that's possible. So effectively, the recommendation that we're receiving from the PAC now is disconnected from that prior policy decision of council, and effectively puts the DDA's $50,000 payment being pulled ahead of reducing the merchant portion. So I was hoping that in the course of being asked to make that decision, someone could help me contextualize that and understand why that was deemed, effectively more important than reducing the merchant portion.
Sure, and I can through the chair, with no disrespect, we read the minutes, it didn't say that. It said it will be reevaluated next year. It never said 50%. There was discussion.
It did,
There was
and that was the
discussion
spirit
about
of the
it,
motion.
but not in the motion.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
can we table this until we can have the actual verbatim minutes put in front of us? That's simply just not the case. It wasn't the spirit of the motion. Anyone who is sitting here understands that.
So what I'd like to do is at least have the public hearing. I should still have the public hearing, because if we postpone it, then, with the public
Delays.
hearing, it will not have any effect on what the final decision is for the cost. Mr. City Attorney, am I correct? If I do the public hearing to go over an SAD, do I have to have the percentage in that?
You should continue with the public hearing. If you decide to end up assessing it at a lower amount, then that's fine. You can do
Okay.
that. You don't, but the public hearing is necessary, but the numbers can change if City Council desires.
So if it's all right with council, I'd like to at least get the public hearing done today, and then the next council meeting, we will have this as an agenda item under old business tabled items to bring forward.
It's a very straightforward question.
Mm-hmm.
It was the spirit of the motion that was undertaken, and there's a departure from it. And I just want to know why. I may happen to agree with it, I may happen to disagree with it, but I would like someone to explain the logic to me.
And what I'd like to do is get the meeting minute, or to get the information from when we had the PAC, had our discussion, because we do have detailed notes on that. We can get that to you.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Okay, so if that's all right, I'm gonna go ahead and move to open the public hearing, and then the next meeting, we will have all that information going forward. So I'll go ahead, open the public hearing on item number B, which is the special assessment district for the share cost of the bond debt on the new city parking platforms. Do I have anybody that would like to comment on that item this evening? Madam Clerk, do we have any correspondence?
No, Your Honor.
The geese have an opinion.
I will go ahead and close the public hearing, and then next meeting, we will have this brought back with detailed information for all of council.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Next, we have the public hearing regarding a zoning ordinance amendment regarding the Downtown Edge 1 District DE-1.
Originally, we asked our planner to actually
Vidya.
address this. Yeah, Vidya to address this item, and the next one that's or actually, yeah, it was this one and then the next item. However, she was unavailable at the last minute. So if it's all right, I'm going to have Nick actually step in and address this. I attended the last couple planning commission meetings, so I can comment as well.
Okay, Mr. Banda.
Thank you. It's been a long journey on our master plan, as folks always point out. It's a journey, and we promise to keep this going. And the Planning Commission has done a yeoman's job of actually having extra meetings every month just to talk about these districts. The easiest premise, and I know for three of you, I'm sorry, I know you've been through a lot of this, but the premise basically in each district is the following. Our zoning ordinance is okay. It's not great. It's a bit outdated. So what we started with was the planner took the zoning ordinance for each district and said, that's the premise. We don't want to create a million non-conforming uses by totally changing the scope of those areas. So the first area tonight, that our first formal review in front of the City Council, is for Downtown Edge 1 District, DE1. You see the accompanying map, and it goes from University to 2nd, from the West Alley to Walnut. So it's a small strip, but they literally, in the future land use plan, we wanted to make sure that we addressed all the different scenarios that could happen block by block by block. If you notice at the existing zoning maps, it's called Central Business District. It's the whole core of downtown, no delineation until you get way over to Pine Street. So we felt it very important, the Planning Commission did all along, with the City Council's backing, that we break it down into smaller blocks. So there's a whole bunch of these coming forward. So in essence, the way Vinnie would present this, I'm sure, would be it's basically the same uses in this 3-block area that was CBD, but we felt that because of where they're at, a couple things should be taken out. The Planning Commission had 7 meetings on this, so they went over every single word to make sure that every single use was thought about. So in essence, in this district, it eliminates all the automotive suppliers, the Firestones, the Goodyears, the muffler shops. We don't want that as a buffer behind the alley over to Walnut Street. It's more service industry, retail, residential. There's still special exceptions. There's still permitted uses that you could go in and if you meet those standards, then you certainly can build that. You can see our parking structure is in the first block, and then Penny Black and the real estate office as you work your down through the Masonic Temple and through the parking lot, et cetera, as you work your way down to 2nd. So really, this isn't a radical change from CBD, but it really just takes out the more intense uses. Most importantly, we kept this at 3 stories, but they have to meet the skyline test, which is pretty simple. If you are looking to the west, you would put your back up against the east side of Main Street and look over the top of the buildings, just like we did for the parking structure. We do not want to see a building towering over anything on Main Street from a block away. You can figure out that's an angle, right? So you can still get potentially 3 stories on some of these projects. So tonight would be the first look at this. We could open this for public hearing. Comments, if council has had a chance to look at this, wants other comments, we certainly can adjust this. Planning Commission did a very thorough review. I don't expect anything major to come out of the public hearings because we've had public hearings there, and we want to just keep working our way through. So we've got 4 more districts that we're working on now. Some are much more difficult than this one. This is pretty much skinny, but and short, but it's important that we get this process moving. So this will be our first adoption. This does not rezone the property. This will be very important. This creates the district for the opportunity. Then the City Council will make a decision. We believe in this strong enough that we will rezone this to go through the formal process where we change the zoning map. We're not asking to do that tonight, really to start the process, first reading and introduction to this district. Thank you.
Thank you. Council, any questions for Mr. Banda? Councilmember Peterson.
Yes, Madam Mayor. I guess not really hearing much about this at all until just receiving it. I am concerned that we are breaking it down into such little slices, our town. I don't think that that's good. But moving forward, to have so many different segments laid out differently. And I wanted to know how, well, for one, I didn't know the Planning Commission was meeting more than that many times a month either to go over these things. And I would like probably a little more information as to some of their thoughts that went into why this is a good idea. And I'd really like to not do anything until we saw some of the other ones of how it's all going to work all together with some of the other, how they're going to go in and continue doing the slices.
Through the chair, and it's a good point. We had talked about that. There's a couple ways to do it. You hold them all, and you do them all at the end. But again, this doesn't rezone the property. This is setting the template for how we're going to do them down the line. It doesn't rezone the property, which would be the big worry. If all of a sudden we were individually rezoning them, now you're starting to have old and new at the same time. So contemplating that next step we haven't got that far yet. But to create the districts is the first step.
Councilmember Cuthbertson, I think you can address that too.
Well, some time ago, before we launched these from Planning Commission to the City Council as liaison, I asked the question to Council, how do you want to receive these? Do we want to do this individually, district by district? Of course, receiving a future land use map that would show you, roughly speaking, where these districts we believe will apply, or do we want to wait to the end and have this, massive code before us, and have a public hearing on a massive code versus breaking these down more individually and having a public hearing in effect on each one? Now, we may send some of the residential ones together, one or two, particular designations in that fashion, but it was my take that it was council's preference, to do it individually. So, we can certainly change that. I guess I would want input from everyone here so that we all have a common understanding of how we want to approach this.
That's why we brought up this. That is the approach that council's directed.
That was discussed at council, because I remember specifically it was asked to group them together, and then Planning Commission has been working diligently. Each meeting, we have 2 or 3 of these that we try to get through, because each meeting, we don't get it done in one meeting. It's 2, 3 meetings for each one of these, and we have 2 or 3 of them on the meeting. So we've been spending a lot of time to get this, and as soon as we get one done, we're sending it off to council, so we don't have to wait till the end. So that is correct, Mayor Pro Tem.
Yeah, I think we have to have this elephant one bite at a time. It's going to be way too big to absorb that. So I can appreciate what Councilmember Peterson's trying to look at the whole vision, but really that's kind of the master plan. What I appreciated in this bringing before us was really the intent, because you kind of go through the intent and then all the uses and the development standards, and really putting this together of what you want this piece to look like the theaters, you want it completely enclosed if there's a theater there, office buildings, so it really gives you a good picture by this description, which I thought was really well written, according to what the red marking on this map is. I did have a question. How many businesses will be non-conformance if we zoned this?
Good question. And again, I can't tell you that exactly. We talked about that. We know there will be some, I'm going to say minimal. We agreed to minimal because we know we can't catch everyone. In this one, I believe there's one. I think it's Pepper Tree. And that's just a setback if I remember right. But every one of these, we tried not to change the schedule regulations from the CBD so that we didn't make so many of them. And by use, none in this district. 0.
Okay. So
We're very
those
mindful
are
of that.
things that,
That's a good question.
I'm, looking at, because then that really.
Yep.
Yep. Sorry, I didn't mean.
No, I already did
Yep.
for the public
Oh,
hearing.
oh, all right. Yeah, I want to make
closed
sure for the public.
hearing. I
Was
did-
it? Okay.
Yeah, I closed the public hearing.
No.
Oh,
I know.
it's still
I
open?
know we might.
Okay.
Yeah, I think. Yeah.
All right,
It
my
might have been a
fault.
confusion with. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
without Vidya here and having
Yeah.
Nick do both. So I just wanted to.
So have I okay, let's go ahead. We're going to open the public hearing.
There you go.
Thank you. I apologize, but, I've had
Well,
3
usually
in a
we do the
row tonight,
presentation
so.
first, then we open
Yeah,
the public
exactly. So
hearing.
let's go ahead. We're going to open the public hearing. Please come forward if you'd like to comment on this item. Not perfect.
So what are the changes you're making from the master plan? Are you making any changes from what is in the master plan?
Not on this one.
Okay, then I would like to point out that this area has a minimum lot width of 0. It has a minimum lot area of 0, and it has a maximum building coverage of 100% on the lot. So that is so much different from what your master plan guidelines are for the 2 office districts that miss getting defined on the map, and taking lots that are smaller, both on University and North Main, and making them 100 feet. And I think the coverage area is around 20,000 square feet. So this is just one. This is just one. There's a whole bunch of them. So that's my big
Okay.
issue. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just a quick personal comment. I agree with both sides. You need the individual information, and it would be a lot better to get it piecemeal. But I think you need to organize it in districts, for example, before you make any decisions, is to look at the business district as one. You look at residential area as another, with the pieces that you get on an individual basis, and then make the decision as in a groupings, whether you want to call them A, B, C, or whatever grouping you want to call it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Any other public comment for this public hearing? Madam Clerk, do we have any correspondence?
No, Your Honor.
So I'm going to go ahead. Anybody else for this?
Go on.
Okay. Close the public hearing. Councilmember Cuthbertson.
Just to address the one comment that I heard with respect to lot coverage, in a downtown setting, a lot line to lot line, no setback is actually an encouraged form of development in a downtown setting like this. So it is distinguishable certainly from an office district, which is usually more in a transition area between core commercial areas and perhaps residential, requiring setbacks related to those office districts. So we did look very specifically at this in terms of allowing lot line to lot line, and in plain truth, the economics of getting any kind of redevelopment on any of these sites will require construction, lot line to lot line, to be able to make a pro forma work for redevelopment. So there's a practical reason, there's a good planning basis for it, there's a practical financial reason for it as well. I think the heights are reasonable. One thing I will mention to City Council that we are looking at the Planning Commission broadly across all the downtown business districts is in ultimately what will be the development standards portion in virtually all of these downtown ordinances that have required minimum usable floor areas, both non-residential principal uses as well as there's thresholds for 3-bedroom, 2-bedroom, 1-bedroom square footage. There may be limited instances upon certain findings of fact that may allow for some shrinkage down from that. And we recognize that there's probably a tool there that we need to apply to many of these zoning districts that have these minimum thresholds, particularly as we approach the notion of affordable housing that we've all had so much dialogue about as a community. In order to get some of that, we're probably going to need a bit more density. That said, the balance of the performance standards that relate to parking and all those other things still have to be made to apply, to the letter where those derivations might be made. And so I would just like to flag this particular, you'll see this in most of these ordinances that come affecting the downtown, or what's traditionally been the central business district and the environs around it, that this provision may be subject to a wholesale revision that deals with a special exception change to those minimum floor area settings. So it's been work in progress, and again, something that's subject to the fine tuning here. I just think it's important that we're all clear on. So thank you, Madam Mayor.
Any other comments? Councilmember Peterson.
Yeah, so all these current businesses that are highlighted here, those are not going to be, they won't have anything to hinder them from moving forward in any way, shape, or form of their current use to somebody coming in and purchasing and changing. None of that'll change,
Correct, legal nonconformities.
okay?
If, yeah, maybe, yes, maybe one.
But I don't understand though why we're going to, I still can't wrap my head around why just this small section here when I see Walnut as a strip on its own, both sides of it, for how to make it work together. Well, this is why,
That's a fair
without
question.
knowing
It's hard
the
being the
information.
It's a good question.
It's a great question.
Yeah.
One of the primary distinctions between this district and, say, the block to the west is the block to the west actually shoulders onto a residential area. And there's an interest in stepping down the buildings in terms of height, as well as requiring a rear setback in that district that would not apply to this district. So based on in essence, the other planning considerations around it, we think that the standards which would apply to those setbacks in the next block are different enough from what's happening on this block directly behind Main Street to warrant its own set of regulations. And quite frankly, a set of uses that are probably a little less intense. You don't want those set up right next to a residential neighborhood. So-
Madam Mayor, a good point. You made me think of something. What we could do is bring a corridor together, so both sides of the street at the same time, because that's how we're doing them. So we just did the other side of the street. So where it would make sense, so you can see both sides of the street as a corridor and bring both those regulations at the same meeting, which I think that would be helpful, so you can know we're looking at exactly how Councilperson Cuthbertson just described it. That side's different than this, but why not look at them together? I think we could do that. Would be a good way to present this. Not a problem.
And I think it's great because it's a great question.
It is.
And we know the reason because we're
Right.
there when somebody else doesn't.
It makes
and we
total
need to
sense
make
to me.
sure that they have that information.
Absolutely, we can do that.
Councilmember Peterson.
The only other thing, I guess, is just how these setbacks were done up, and I understand that to kind of maximize use, but I do know that, First Street Lofts and their zero lot is something that probably shouldn't have had zero lot. And because this is so dense downtown, I think that zero lot is going to interfere with, potential what might be able to go down there to, still give us our walkability and our nice quaintness that we have. Just my 2 cents. I wouldn't want to do anything with this until I actually saw what you're actually doing to the other side and how they kind of will mirror each other in a sense. And I understand the one side is more passive and the other side's more active, but, with the Chapman House on one side, Penny Black on the other, you still have two separate uses there, so I'm kind of at not understanding this a little bit.
Okay, so, does council want to move forward for first reading and introduction? Or do we want to bring this back to the next council meeting? I mean,
Nothing would change by then,
Okay.
because we won't have that district through the planning commission yet,
so
point will take it.
I will take the,
We can get through the first reading and introduction, and we can hold
it.
Yeah, we can hold it until we bring the adjacent one. At least we'll know this is the standard we're setting.
Yes.
And then, again, we can modify at the second meeting, so you're not
Okay.
just rubber stamping this, so that'd be fair.
Okay, well, Madam Mayor,
Yes.
then, okay, so on the other one, are you set up with the same set of guidelines and everything? Nothing's changed, everything's identical?
They're pretty much, no, there'll be some changes on the west side of Walnut, but the same format. This is the format you're gonna
format
see
that
from
you're
now
gonna-
on.
Okay, well, I guess I would rather see this tabled until we saw the other one with this here to see how it's mirrored. I understand and appreciate everyone's hard work, but this is really hard to just grasp because even when you look at just the residential development standards in here for the minimums and things like that, I mean, I don't know how, those are long-term planning I see of what might potentially go into downtown there. And I'd rather see how it's going to mirror with what everyone wants on the other side. So, because you're talking about the residential possibility on this side, okay, kind of where we have the condos and that right there, and then how it's going to reflect. I just think there's too much of the same on each side of the street to not see the other side before doing that. But
I don't know
all my
when-
council members can do whatever they want on that. That's how I feel.
Nick, I don't know when we have the other side,
Yeah,
and I'd like to.
I'm trying to think. No, I think we've been in the mixed-use ones next, so it's probably a couple months out.
So do we have any,
Well, just the other thing too, so you're taking away, I mean, with this change here, you're taking away the bank's ability that currently has the drive-through there too, okay? Which has been, okay, so to me, there's a lot of changes in each one of these little one-liners.
I mean, they could stay doing what they're doing, but you couldn't build a new one like that, right?
Right. So.
Because, again, we think that's a waste of land. It's just a bunch of parking and a drive-through, and we could add more
Well, so
intense
are parking
uses.
structures and all the parking lots through town. We have a lot of land, but in this little section of town, we have a lot of parking, parking lots and structures. So that are being incorporated into this little section. And so I don't know why you'd even highlight the parking decks or the parking, because the parking deck isn't going to go anywhere.
Well, on land use, you have to be consistent.
Well, I
with
understand that, but that's what you're looking at.
pleasure of council? Go ahead, Councilmember Cuthbertson.
I'm happy to make a motion for first reading and introduction and to table consideration of second reading until such time as first reading has been undertaken on the corresponding zoning district to the west.
So moved.
Procedurally, we'll get the thing clear and prepped, and then we'll bring it up when the other side comes in.
So I have a motion by Cuthbertson, support by the Mayor Pro Tem. Any other discussion?
I would only say, these are important determinations being made. These are going into the zoning code and will have a lasting effect on what happens in this community. And they certainly need to be matters which each council member understands and is comfortable with, at least as to what the content is and to why it was recommended. I do think that it would be helpful. We did receive this when we scheduled the public hearing, right? So I would ask, my colleagues, how much time ahead of scheduling the public hearing do you want to see the text so that you can ask the questions that you want to have resolved and, obviously get into that as we move along and maybe less so at the back end of when we're taking action, so that as we get further into this, we get better at it, right? And that the questions are, asked when we first receive it, not after public hearing. So because we could really be here for a couple of years doing this in a fashion if we don't get better at it. So can anyone articulate, what is a good time frame to have this for before we take action to make a decision upon it? What do you need? What do you think is important? How much time? And then maybe the planning commission and administration can help set the cadence on this in a way that works for everyone.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Well, I think maybe we could be alerted by the planning minutes when we're talking about this particular area that we're going to present to council, so that we are on the same kind of cadence that the planning commission is. So even if it's just in the back of our packet saying, okay, this is going to come forth, and and then we can read that in the back of, I'm saying it doesn't have to be the whole minutes. I'm talking about
that section.
Well,
that section.
It is in a way a legislative history.
It is.
Or actually, the planning commission is not a legislative body, but it provides you the history. And I was even going to suggest that for all the liaison reports, that we include minutes, attached
that would be
to,
great.
right behind the liaison reports, just as a matter of good practice for all of the reports.
Because the planning commission minutes are very thorough.
Extreme.
They
Right.
tell us exactly what
Maureen
has
goes over it
happened.
all.
So if we do our
That's a
homework,
good idea.
when the liaison is, telling us kind of continue, then.
My only caveat is, I think it's a great idea, and I think it should be done for whenever we have the reports done. The minutes might not be ready, so we might have to do, instead of when we meet today, when we're having you give your presentation, it would actually be the next meeting, so the minutes are then done
in
fully,
arrears.
exactly. So if council is comfortable with that, I think it's a great idea.
is.
Because then everybody has a heads up, they, do that.
Yeah,
So-
I'd like you to have 30 days to call us and let's
That
talk
would be
about it, because
nice,
they're complicated as
So,
heck. So.
but I think to be fair to the person taking the minutes and transcribing, it's not going to be exactly the meeting after.
Right.
So the report can be given, but, or if we start scheduling the
Well, I was
reports
just going to say,
one-off.
the gap will be the first time.
Yes.
Right.
And then after that, we should be able to catch up and
And
stay
there's a
right
system.
on.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay,
Yes,
I got it.
Councilmember Cuthbertson.
And I was going to say, at least with the Planning Commission, perhaps if the Planning Commission report were to be given at the second council meeting of the month, there may be an
Right.
opportunity to have the draft minutes
that's what I was thinking.
from that
That's a good
from
idea.
that month.
Yeah.
And they're just stamped draft, but in my
Like these.
experience there, there's not a whole lot of change that happens. So that might be a way to assist with that.
All right, I really appreciate that, and I only have one other question. Is this actual downtown Edge 1 district already part of the master plan, or is it going to be included?
It was, so this is just the morphing of the master plan. We didn't add, we're changing the name of one district because it was confusing, but other than that, it's the master plan. They're just the next, they're almost tweaks to what we already approved as the master plan district. So they're just really fine tuning them, that's all.
So are we going to at least make sure that it's stated so everyone knows and they know it's clear that one district just didn't disappear, it's just been
Absolutely.
renamed?
Okay. Madam Clerk, the roll.
Dalton.
Yes.
Russell.
Yes.
Cuthbertson.
Yes.
Peterson.
Yes.
Ray.
Yes.
Thank you. Next is legislative deliberation. Consideration of a request to schedule a public hearing for Article 39 to add definitions for front-loaded, side-loaded, and rear-loaded garages, and Article 21 supplemental district regulations to change the required side yard setback for detached accessory structures.
All administration is asking for is to request that the public hearing be set for May 8th.
So moved.
Support.
Councilmember Cuthbertson, motion made, support by the Mayor Pro Tem. Nick, did you have a,
I do, and exactly. So this is another good example. At my former, we would have study meetings where we could sit down and talk about this. We don't like just dumping these on you, but again, we want to keep this going. This is part of the infill housing concerns. Planning Commission was very concerned about these garages that are all garage in the front and didn't want this to keep going on. So there's a lot of reading material here. Vidia's done a great job with the Planning Commission to get this down. I'd advise you to read it as deep as you can. Call me. We'll get you with Vidia if you need to. This, in essence, it just says if you want a side-loaded front garage, it's got to be in the back of the home. No more putting one in the front where the whole front of the house is garage, and there's no porch, anything. And it will create some nonconformities. We know that, but the Planning Commission felt very strongly about this. We're not saying you can't have one. Just put it in the back. Don't put it in the front. Get your traditional Rochester house in the front.
yes, Councilmember Peterson.
Okay, so I guess, and the other, I guess what I see, problem with this, with the ones that have been going in like this here, how it's hindering the properties that are next door because they have so much concrete there that the runoff is really bad.
Agreed.
And I just think that, what would you rather have, looking at a garage or, having water in your neighbor's yard and having an issue with that? But I've seen every one of them with that, with so much concrete, it looks like a road.
So, go ahead.
No, and it does, but again, they can't drain to the other people's properties. But you're right, it now will take the concrete out of the front if they want to take up part of their yard in the rear. But again, they still can only have 30% lot coverage, so, and there's a minimum setback of 35 feet in the rear, so that can't be any closer because it's attached to the home. So
So
we'll
I
still
would-
continue to
go
have
ahead.
backyards, so.
Councilmember Cuthbertson.
To be clear, you can still have a garage in the front of your house. The front of the garage needs to be set back 4 feet from the general front of the structure. We're not doing away with front garages, just to be clear. And the Planning Commission did make one request with respect to the diagrams that you see, figures basically 1 through 4, that an asterisk be placed on side yard. We are not changing the general side yard setback for structures or accessory structures. The same minimum of 5 feet, 15 feet overall will still apply. And so anywhere you see side yard, there will be an asterisk next to that and a legend directly beneath the figure which calls out that side yard setback, what that is specifically in writing. That has been an issue that has been to the Planning Commission, ZBA, and before this body, as most of us here may recall, a good number of times. So, being a bit more express with that provision was something that was asked, and I'm sure will show up in the next iteration here.
So, and I just want to encourage, the public hearing will be for May 8th, and I encourage council members to reach out go ahead.
I'm going to say one more thing. This will only be an infill housing standard.
Correct.
This will not apply in our, I think, 2 through 5.
4 or 5.
4 or 5, excuse me, which is effectively the east side of the community, where houses of that front-loaded garage are a part of the ordinary plan of development in subdivisions. So there will be nothing here that would apply as to a nonconformity there, understanding that was an established pattern of development through a subdivision and a generalized plan. So this is one of those things that could potentially take a life of its own, and I think it was important to try to flag that, though I suspect it won't be the last time we'll explain it. Thank you.
Go ahead, Mayor Pro Tem.
I'm sorry.
So this is a great example of, shoot, when I was on Planning Commission, we were talking about this, so that's been,
Long enough.
Yeah, long enough. But what I think needs to happen is, and maybe video can put something together, is what the discussion as a whole over the last several, because there's so many, like this, if you're coming in cold turkey, it's not enough. It's just so vague. And the other thing that I'm always looking for is how many nonconformances are we going to have when we put this? And it looks like it's going to be several, but that would be a question I would ask.
It would be my guess the video will be at the public hearing to go over the presentation in depth.
But still, when we're talking about this big of a deal, because this affects a lot of people, and I bet the nonconforming is going to be pretty substantial, that we need to really understand. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like just a report of understanding what's happening.
So would you go ahead, Councilmember Cup.
And this is a point that we did get into, and we're probably getting ahead of ourselves a little bit. Understand that this is an infill standard which applies to a number of the zoning districts. I think we had this precise conversation at the Planning Commission where this doesn't create nonconformities in and of itself. The existing properties were built with infill standards that were different than these. That is to say, that house could not be rebuilt in the same manner, but in and of itself, it is not an inconformity based on the application of this ordinance.
And that would be great to have as support. That would be great to be in this.
And I do think what we've touched on this evening is in making any of these zoning changes, what is the practical effect to the existing, uses or structures that are in place? And I think that's a takeaway for Planning Commission to try to present a summary of what those are as we understand them. We're probably not going to capture every single one.
Just
but high, medium, low in terms of its effect. I think that's probably useful.
Okay, so I'm going to take one more, if any more comments? Go
Yes,
ahead.
I guess I'm just confused because if there is a setback for the driveways, there's like 5 properties I know right now that don't show that they have that 3-foot side setback.
It's not for the driveway, it's for the structure. So
No, it's just for the structure. So I know, but here you have the driveways that are right up against solid on the lot lines.
You still could.
Okay, well, I don't think that that's what you should have, because that's why the east side is so nice, and when that was planned out, that you have grass on the other side.
Madam Clerk, the roll, please.
Dalden.
Yes.
Russell.
Yes.
Cuthbertson.
Yes.
Peterson.
Yes.
Ray.
Yes.
Madam
Yes.
Mayor, can I ask a favor, if possibly? The REWA group's here, and I know infrastructure might go a bit. Would it be possible to have that discussion? They've got folks from out of town here with them.
Yes. You still have one more.
After
I'll
maybe
do
after the
B,
next one, yeah.
and then I will move them up.
That'd be great.
Thank you. Next is consideration of a request from the Rochester Brunch House for amendment to operation agreement. Mr. City Attorney.
Yes, I'll introduce this matter briefly. This is the Rochester Brunch House. The ink is not even quite dry yet on the original agreement. So I know a couple weeks ago it was sent to the city for execution. I do not know, and I know the applicant and her attorney are here, so she can confirm. The liquor license was approved by this body with two conditions. One is the operations agreement being signed, and the second one is to resolve the parking issue, which I believe, I don't know, because I didn't get confirmation whether or not the payment for the parking space has been made. So if that has been made, I think we're good to go. If not, that still would need to be addressed. Before you is an amendment to that contract. The applicant had proposed certain hours for the liquor license establishment of 8 to 5 Monday through Saturday and 8 to 3 on Sunday. Looks like they have a greater interest in having special events in hours that are outside of that, specifically evenings, where it would not be open to the public, but would be special events such as wedding showers and so forth. So before you is the agreement that was signed by the applicant, but I would point out the change that they would be requesting is on page 2, which would allow for private events to be from 6 o'clock p.m. to 11 o'clock p.m., in addition to the regular hours that are already in the agreement. So it's not a major overhaul change to the agreement, but to add additional hours of service for private events. And I know that Ms. Allen is in the audience and maybe would like to address the City Council.
And Mayor, members of the City Council, I am Kelly Allen here on behalf of the Brunch House tonight. You're right, the ink isn't quite dry, and I'm going to follow the sword on this. I was so consumed with the parking issues in this case. I did put in our cover letter that we wanted to have extended hours, and then when Jeff sent me the agreement over, I went, wait, and sure enough, it didn't match with the identical wording of the application. I went back and painfully watched all those tapes, and Mr. Cuthbertson actually said, well, they're not asking for any additional hours, and I was dealing with parking, and so I didn't jump up and down. It's always been her intention to have these sort of private events. In no case would they be open after 5 o'clock for the public, so you can't go there for dinner if you're Joe Q, but if you're having a rehearsal dinner or a bridal shower or something like that, we're hopeful that the city will agree to amend this operation agreement for us at this point. She has not yet paid the 12 even. You get the 5? Okay. And all Nick has to do is tell us where to take that money, and she's ready to pay that. She knows she can't open without making the payment on the parking. So I apologize that we're back here so soon to ask for a change, but your city attorney suggested that it did have to come back to council.
Okay. Councilmember Peterson.
I'd like to make a motion to move to approve.
Do I have support on the motion?
Support.
Support by the Mayor Pro Tem. Do I have a discussion on the motion? Yes, Councilmember Cuthbertson.
I think it's a perfectly wonderful idea to have private events and to proceed in the fashion as described. I have no objection to that. I'll only note that this business continues to evolve, and that's a positive thing, I think, both for the community and the business itself. And I'm happy to support this change. I'm not sure where else it goes from here in terms of what expanded hours and powers and activities could be contemplated to this without taking a substantive look at okay, what is this now a full-scale operational restaurant? Is that what's intended? Right, at some point, we're walking there over some period of time, which is maybe a great thing, right? But I just would rather at some point have that full-fledged conversation if that's really what this is becoming through individual steps. And so I don't know that that's the conversation for tonight. I don't think that it is, but it seems to me that, we're walking up to that, and I just wanted to flag that for council and my colleagues, that it's an observation and a good thing. I don't want it to be a difficult matter, but it's beginning to quack like a duck.
As you know, we can't do anything to change this operation agreement without coming back to council. So that's one. And another is that Lisa just really doesn't, Lisa, whoever you want to call her, really doesn't have any ambition to do any more than she's doing, which is these private events for brides and people of that nature. And what
I hope she
does.
does, candidly.
She may not have the capacity.
But let's just, at some point, I think we have to have that conversation. So
We will if we do.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Madam Clerk, the roll, please.
Sheldon?
Yes.
Russell?
Yes.
Cuthbertson?
Yes.
Peterson?
Yes.
Ray?
Yes.
Next, we will move on to item 10B. Correct? Receipt of an update regarding the DEQ loan and grant for Rewald site.
I'm sorry,
You know what?
That wasn't me.
We'll go ahead and, wow.
Maybe take a 5-minute recess.
No, we better now. We might
No,
as well
we're-
go ahead. I'll wait. Go ahead. We can go ahead.
Okay, Council, thank you very much. Mr. Jeff Haynes, thank you for joining me. That's our our council for environmental attorney stuff. A couple of meetings ago, we talked about this opportunity that the city was afforded, and the rest of the team, including Michelle from DEQ, is here this evening to talk about the next steps we need to move forward in order to keep this process and project potentially moving forward, which is, again, in essence, a $1 million grant, $1 million loan to assist in the redevelopment and cleanup of the property adjacent to the mills. So tonight, we're not asking for any action. The action we would be asking for is Mr. Haynes will come back on the 24th of April to talk about the actual agreement. Again, and we'll talk about, we're not committing the city to anything. We're trying to just keep our opportunities open. Michelle and the DEQ got thrown a quick, good problem to have where the monies that were available, and we had a tag for some money, all of a sudden, everybody wanted the money and they had to commit it all. And they want to know how serious our communities. And if you're serious, then can you write this next step, which Jeff can go over? Or we can have the team, Michelle, if you actually want to come up and do that. Dave, whoever's coming up from the team. Yep. So we'll go walk you through the next steps, why we're here, and what we expect to see in a couple of weeks. We're not asking for action this evening. There's the team right there.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm Michelle Bacon with the DEQ. I think I was here in December to talk about the project. As you know, when we spoke back then, we were sort of at the point where we're starting to run out of grant and loan money, which was kind of the big push. We need to, get going because we're going to run out. Well, we're at that point. We have run out of our funds for these types of projects. The good news is that we were able to vet this project internally and invite the city to apply for the $1 million grant and the $1 million loan for the project. Because of the backlog and the projects that we have lined up, which they're out the door way more than we can actually fund, we're asking all of our communities that are in the hopper and have been vetted to give us their commitment that they're going to be going forward in the form of the application, and it will require a resolution to go forward with the process so that we know that you're serious and that you're willing to take this on as a community.
Okay.
Let me see. Jeff Haynes from Meyer Howlett. The packet that you have contains a resolution that has been drafted by me and by Anna Mayari, who's the counsel for Rewald. That resolution may change in some particulars by the time it gets to you in 2 weeks, but it won't change in substance. It basically requires the city to say, we're going to apply for the grant and loan. We believe that the project will conform with zoning and planning, and that the grant and loan will be used to pay for environmental remediation. I don't need to remind council that there's a big piece of vacant property next to Paint Creek that if the Rewald project doesn't go forward, there may be other projects, but if this doesn't go forward, there's a substantial possibility that vacant land will remain vacant land for decades. because ITT has no incentive to clean it up. So part of the reason for the grant and loan is to provide either free or low-cost money from the state to assist in the environmental remediation. That will occur, the loan would be taken out by the city. The loan would be repaid by the developer through a tax increment financing brownfield process that will require various agreements as we go forward, all of those to be negotiated after April 30 when this application is due. So that's the summary from this end.
Thank you. Councilmember Peterson.
Yes, thank you. Well, I have been able to learn more about all of this that was going to take place. I think that it's in the best interest of the city to move forward with this here due to the fact that getting the grant money that is available right now, and I don't know if we'll ever get that opportunity again, and I would hope that maybe we would so we can clean up some other parts of our town, but since we're working on our water and our infrastructure and everything else, this is very much a huge part of that, and the cleanup is necessary because we have two awesome waterways here that we don't need to have any further issues with. It's unfortunate that the company will not cooperate and things like that, and I do not want to see us get into any litigation with anybody in the future. And if we have somebody who is willing to go ahead and take this on and make that commitment to the community, I think that is something that we should move forward doing so.
Madam Mayor, may I comment on that? It's my understanding, I don't have direct knowledge of this, but my understanding from talking to Rewald's counsel that ITT is cooperating in modifying the deed restrictions, which will allow the project to move forward. That's a healthy step.
And I can chime in on that as well. So as you may know, ITT, when they operated on the property, and historically it was industrial use, and that's what they're required to clean it up to, right? So they can let it sit there, and it can be industrial use. They have a lot of say on what goes on. So how we, with the state, working with Mr. Rewald's company and with ITT, how we, and SMU, Jeff's group, what we're doing is we're going to be working through the process, figuring out exactly what needs to be done, what can we do, because there are certain things that our money can pay for. They can't pay for everything that ITT is responsible for. But coming up with the plans in advance, the DEQ will sign up on the cleanup plans, right? Rewald will agree, the city will agree, and then ITT also will agree, so that we know up front what's going to happen, how it's going to be done, right? How the deed restrictions are going to be changed once the project is complete. That way, there are no surprises for anybody, because it's truly a collaborative process that we're going forward on.
Madam Mayor, if I may, a key part of this is the TIF that Jeff talked about. So in order to get that going, Mr. Rewald's spent some good money to start the planning. At the Planning Commission, we had the first look at the potential new office building for the Rewalds that would create that tax dollars that would pay back the loan and be the collateral actually too. So we're working through that now. So they actually started that process. We don't have to guess what the TIF money might come in. So they've actually started that process.
Councilmember Cuthbertson.
Yeah, and I think to answer one of the questions that was asked earlier in terms of the repayment of the interest on the loan, it's my understanding that would be afforded through the TIF capture as well. So it would be in essence a push for the city, other than incurring the debt and effectively servicing it for some period of time, and perhaps before depending on when we actually take the disbursement, based on when the building is constructed and when the tax capture date, the snapshot's taken, what has been built at the end of this December or next December, depending on when this all launches, what might affect and shape a little bit, I think, of the debt service potentially, which of course would be then repaid. So from a cash standpoint, there may be a modest event for a short period of time, depending on the disbursement time frame.
Well, in the TIF and the loan work really, really well together, because what happens is the TIF, right, you have to, once you do your brownfield plan and everything, you have to start collecting TIF within 5 years. Well, the first payment on the loan is due in 6 years, right? So it's a 15-year loan the first 5 years
Even
are
better.
0% interest, no payments, and then it's 1.5% interest after that. So the timing
Is not an issue.
It's not an issue.
Thank you,
Right.
thank you.
For clarifying that.
Two other things. You know, from a city perspective, you know, we've gone from you know, several years of, you know, hey, we need help, to it's on fast forward, right? And we have a set of internal you know, planning exercises to go through, just, you know, for this office development and potentially others that may come. I guess I'm interested in understanding and trying to get some kind of a firm commitment on, okay, we at the next meeting pass the resolution, right, to proceed, that we have, you know, some clear air to be able to go through our planning exercise without another DEQ deadline advancing quickly.
Well, and it won't be like, it's at least on our end, before contracts can even be signed, the loan and the grant contracts, it's at least an 8 to 10 week process, because when there's a grant involved, it has to go through the state administrative board for approval. So we have a couple months, but the key is really gonna be getting the application in with the resolution, and then we have more wiggle room. That is just really making sure that the money stays in Rochester's pot, right? That you're gonna get the money. This is a really newly instituted policy that we have, really going back just to February, because right now we have, if we funded every project that is in the door right now, we would be like -4 million in grants and -3 million in loans. So we just want to make sure that to all of those communities who have approached us and who we've vetted and said, yes, we will give you
I
money.
get it. Yeah,
That's what that policy's for. Once we get through that, I mean, yes, we're not going to be happy if, you know, it's another 6 months to a year down the road and nothing's going on.
But let me be clear, our planning process could take 4 months. And to be fair, special projects, and, you know, particularly ones that will involve discussion about, okay, well, what remediation is going to take place, and city property is involved, and specifically understanding what is going to happen relative to that property, and having a robust conversation without, you know, a major, you know, external deadline that you know, is moving up. I'm concerned about that.
Yeah, we don't, like I said, we don't have any other deadlines other than this. This is just because we have so many people waiting for money that we have to make sure that the communities are serious
Nobody
about
up here
it.
wants this to take a year or even 6 months, but if we need to take 4 months, 5 months to get this right in the course of the planning process here, I want to make sure that the city you know, has the ability to do that fairly and make sure that it's a well-rounded decision for the entire community.
Michelle, we'd be able to show you activity to show you. We schedule this meeting, and it's just a process.
Yeah.
Any city's
Yeah,
gotta go
and
through
I
the
mean,
same
you know, and I can help be involved in any process. You know, it's out of my control what, right, my division director says and everything as far as funding goes. But I can tell you that once we have had a project in the door with an application, we have not taken the money back, unless the project falls apart, right? If something happened and the developer was no longer there, then we're not gonna, you know, award the money.
Okay. Mayor Pro Tem.
Well, thank you for coming back.
Sure.
It is important that we get this property cleaned up and the property for the city to be cleaned up. My question is, I would love to see a timeline. So when we're looking at this project as a whole, what DEQ's doing, you know, where the Rewalds project's going with, you know, everything that's going on, because we need to have, like, Planning Commission, they have these dates and these things have to be set. Does the deeds and restrictions have to be modified before the application is submitted?
No, and in fact, for the deed restriction to be modified, that is something that the DEQ has to have approval, and so does ITT.
Okay.
And so the way that we're going to do that is we're going to make sure that the plans that are submitted, especially the technical environmental cleanup plans, that all the parties are on board. When we approve that will be, if these things are done, then we will revise the deed restrictions. So the deed restrictions technically won't be amended until the project is complete.
Okay.
Because as the state, we can't say, oh, it's good, and then the work not happen, and then there's some, you know, some issue, and the deed restrictions are removed. So they won't be done until the work is completed.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, I'm curious. $2 million, what does that do for the property as we understand it?
Well, I think Jeff can speak a little bit to that, but, you know, basically what it's gonna do is, it's gonna allow the property to be safely reused, right, for the mixed use. Is it going to make it perfectly clean? No, it's not. That's not what our money is intended to do, and I wouldn't even have a ballpark on what it would take to say that that's completely clean. Will it make the property safe? Yes. Is it going to help overall with ITT's cleanup? Absolutely, right? Is it going to help some of the city property? Yes, we're gonna do our best to, you know, make all of that happen. But $2 million, I don't know if you guys have a number, but I don't think $2 million would clean it up. I wouldn't think, would it? No. Jeff can talk more to that.
Jeff Lanier with SME. $2 million, that is CMI eligible activities for this project. That means these are environmental remediation projects. This is installing controls for utilities, foundations, vapor barriers. We've got a long list of activities that will be in this work plan. And what we're trying to do is we're working closely with the DEQ and developing the strategy and maximizing what we can do with the property to clean it up and to do the construction. So that's they're interrelated as far as the cleanup activities, but we will be doing some targeted hotspot removal, so areas where we find some really high level soil contamination, dig and get rid of it, take it to a licensed landfill and replace it with clean soil so that doesn't over time continually leach down into groundwater. And we'll also look at groundwater remediation as select areas, including possibly the North City property that historically hasn't been addressed.
And that part to me is of significant interest, obviously, and I'm curious to know from a participation in that conversation with DEQ and Mr. Haynes, who is the city's advocate and responsible for making sure that the allocation of those funds across the entire site is an adequate one with respect to the contamination that has emanated onto city property. And in fact, I understand is in very near proximity of the Paint Creek, and so I want to understand how those determinations and those decisions are made, and there is an intelligent resource allocation that is equitable in the common interests of all the property owners that are affected here.
I think it's important to know what these funds were allocated for. These funds are from the 1995 CMI bond or for brownfield redevelopment use. So we are restricted to a certain extent on what we can do. For example, we cannot give grant money to a project if there is not an actual developer. If we don't know how many jobs are, right, there has to be someone ready to put the shovel in the ground, right? And for a loan, it's not quite as restrictive, but it's very important, I think, to understand that we're gonna do the best we can to make sure that we can get the biggest bang for our buck on these properties, including the cities. But the way the legislation is written for these bonds, they're not specifically to just do a cleanup. There has to be something. So it may not appear to be equitable on the city property, right? The bulk is going to be where the development is taking place. We've been talking to make sure that we can finesse it so that the city properties are helped, but that is not going to be the focus of how our money can be spent. It's legislatively not permitted.
And you had
To answer the member's question, the city is now looking at hiring a consulting firm to assist the city in brownfield applications as they come in. So we will have technical expertise on our side for that. Second, in the event that there would not be monies from the grant or loan to address the items the city feels need to be addressed, for instance, the hot spots on the south end near 3rd Street, it is possible to fashion a brownfield plan that could address those outside the grant and loan process and be paid through by the TIF financing. So there are lots of creative ways to skin that particular cat.
and I appreciate that, and it is perfectly clear to me that defining those things on the front end, right, in the course of this discussion, and what can be addressed, what cannot be addressed, and what the plan is for addressing those critical issues are fleshed out in a way that allows policymakers, in the course of approving this, to ensure that those matters are sufficiently addressed in doing so. Ultimately, we are going on the hook for $1 million loan, and those kinds of conversations need to be, to my mind, sufficiently vetted and understood here on the front side of that, much rather than later. And that's just my experience in negotiating anything, quite candidly. But it occurs to me that if there's, just assuming a bell curve in terms of allocation relative to where the development is, what might be available in addressing, the city's interests may be relatively modest compared to that whole $2 million amount. In that case, while certainly ITT undertaking deed restriction changes is a very positive step, I'm not sure that I'm satisfied with what their actions to date more recently have been in terms of responding to the non-compliance issues that have been found. And so I think at that point, the city may have an interest, and I don't know that I share my colleagues' aversion to litigation in this instance. If there is a party who is ultimately responsible to this and is not in pure compliance, this has gone on for long enough in terms of what ITT has been doing and or not doing. And if this cannot be done in a collaborative way that has material benefit to improving the city's land, which has been, in essence, burdened by this migration, for lack of a better phrase, then I'm not going to be satisfied that the matter is concluded in a fashion that doesn't warrant other action by the city. This, as I said, this has been going on for a long time. I think the parties in this room have been extraordinarily patient in that discussion and principled in terms of what has occurred in not taking action to date. That said, again, I want to understand a lot more of the specifics of the remediation plan, prior to council committing to actually taking the funds. I can't do that in a vacuum in good faith, knowing that this is maybe a rare opportunity to actually meaningfully change what's happening here. And so, I can only say that in the most broad and general terms, and I'm hoping that I'm making myself clear to, those who are in the audience here that, for me, one of seven, I need those questions answered in a substantive way on the front end of this. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you.
One thing to follow up on what Jeff said, and through both TIF and through the grant and loan contracts, once they are signed, there is an allowance for the city to actually hire a third-party oversight environmental contractor that would be operating in your best interest to oversee the funds that are spent, make sure they're spent in the proper ways. So there is, a portion of that would be the city could use for that purpose specifically.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from council?
Madam Mayor, one other, what is the actual final deadline? It is just April 30th, so.
Yeah, the sooner the better. I think that would be sufficient. Like I said, we have a lot of other projects that they're waiting for, and I just don't want to see. So we have a rather large vetting meeting the first couple days of May. So if I had it to take with me, then I think it would ease a lot of
So this will
my
come.
management.
Yeah, we meet on the 24th.
We're going to bring this back on the 24th.
That would be very helpful.
Okay, and I think I had some comments or questions from the audience. If you could come up, I know that somebody raised their hand, and did somebody have a comment or a question? Yes, Jane?
I'm just a citizen here. I don't understand half of what was said, but I want to know about this loan. Is the loan only made to the city? It's not made to Rewald?
The
This
loan is made to the
million
city.
packet.
The proceeds are made available for the cleanup of the property.
To the city?
I can address, I know exactly where you're going. So the loan, all of the state's money is always awarded to the local units of government. The reason that we do that is because we want our money to be used for the locals' priorities, right? We don't want the developers all across the state deciding that their project is the best, right? We wanna know what the cities and the counties are. So how the repayment of the loan works is the city is the recipient of the loan, but there are other forms of collateral that the city will enter into with Frank Rewald so that the collateral will be on the back end, using the TIF and some other things, so it won't be.
I don't know what a TIF is.
TIF is tax increment financing, so yeah, it's a technical term, but basically, in essence, it will ensure that there is collateral other than through the city and the city's funds that the loan will be repaid. So the city, that's a real new change, just actually last week. It used to be revenue sharing, now we've got away from that and we don't have to go that route anymore.
Okay. So the loan is to the city?
Yes.
Who pays the loan back?
City.
City.
Does Rewald pay us anything?
We capture the taxes.
What's a captured tax revenue?
The TIF that was just described. It's a mechanism whereby.
Okay,
the
that's
net-
collateral.
The net new taxes that are generated by that go to service the debt. For
New taxes, new property taxes?
Yes.
Madam Mayor, if
Go
I
ahead,
may,
go ahead.
the city repays the loan back to the state. The city, in order for the city to pay the loan back, the city will capture the new taxable value generated by this development. And those new taxes will serve to make the payments back. The collateral for the loan is going to be a line of credit from Rewald. So that if Rewald defaults in any way, the city can go after the line of credit to repay the loan. So there are two different things. There's the income stream to repay back the loan, then there's the collateral, just like paying a mortgage on a house. The house is the collateral, there's an income stream going to the bank to pay back the loan, the mortgage. So it's the same idea.
Okay. So the city's taking out the loan. We've got collateral from Rewald. Who makes the payments to repay the loan? The city. Right? Where's the city getting the money to pay that back?
Again, it's the new tax revenue that's created by the development, which was presented at the Planning Commission.
I saw it
last week. So that building.
So
the tax,
we're getting property tax on a vacant lot right now.
at a modest, very modest amount. Yes.
Okay. So the city's going to borrow $1 million so that a developer can build a property that we can collect more income tax on, or more property tax, right? Okay, when I buy a house, I get the interest, I get the collateral, da-da-da-da-da. Where is it in the best interest? And how long does it take to repay this? They're not getting payments for 6 or 7 years? They don't have to repay it? I mean, the city doesn't have to repay it? But who's getting interest on this? I mean, is interest accumulating all this time?
No.
Who's paying for the interest?
There's no interest at that point. There's no interest for the first 5 years.
And
So how long do we
cleaning up
have
the
to pay
dirty
this back?
property.
10 years after the first 5 are up and the interest rate is on 1.5%.
Okay, so is the city gonna pay for all of this with the taxes, with the interest,
With their new taxes, yes.
with their new taxes?
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you. Make it, yeah.
Just to clarify, so in essence, this is a tax abatement for them so that what we would get, let's just throw a number out. We were going to
No,
give.
no.
They're still paying taxes.
They're still paying the exact amount of taxes.
Yeah.
It's
Okay,
just
they're paying like 10,000. Let's just throw little simple numbers. They're paying $10,000 taxes on the property once the property is built, right? We're going to take that $10,000 and apply that to the interest, right?
To
To the loan.
Yes.
To the loan. Okay. So, in essence, that percentage then that we are applying to the loan is less tax revenue that the city is getting to do their other projects.
Actually, no, because let's see if I can get an easy example. So, just for easy sake.
Sure.
So say that property right now is collecting $10 a year,
Okay.
right, on property taxes, right? ITT doesn't have to do anything. You're gonna be getting $10 a year from here until who knows when, right? The Rewald company comes in, they build their beautiful new development, they have new jobs, all this stuff. Next year, or when it's completed, right, you now may be creating, $1 million in taxes, just for easy numbers. So that difference for, this is just throwing out numbers just to explain. So that difference between the 10 and the million will be used to pay back the loan until it's paid off. But then, at that point, you are now having your $1 million in taxes for the city.
I understand
Yeah,
that, but
yeah.
it's the same thing when companies go in and ask different cities to say, well, instead of paying 8% tax, I'm only going to pay 3% tax for the first 10 years, and then I will up
That's
it to
actually
the.
That's not the
No,
same.
that's
It is
not
not the
exactly.
same.
They are. Those are real tax abatements. They're not even paying the taxes.
This-
They have to pay full taxes.
Right.
We just capture it to pay the
Oh,
taxes.
and I understand that, but part of that is going for the interest on the loan.
If we get to
Even
that.
if it's $10, I don't care what the amount is, that part is going to pay off the
It's
interest.
the cost of getting the money to do the development, correct?
Correct. So that, whatever amount is less than what the city. But if we're fixing the city properties and we may actually be gaining in the process. So I think that's something that has to be considered.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank
Okay.
you. So we're gonna go ahead and move this to the next meeting and take care of the rest. So thank everybody for coming this evening. I'm going to take a 5-minute recess.
Thanks, Michelle.
doing infrastructure now.
So, next we move to 10 reports and regular business. Report from the Infrastructure Committee. We're going to do item 1 first, is consideration of a request to extend the deadline for water meter installation from 4/30/2017 to 6/30/2017. Mr. City Manager.
Yeah, noting that it's late, I'm just going to be brief. The Infrastructure Committee looked at the current deadline that was set back in August, that started in September, that is set to expire at the end of April. Noting that we are seeing an increase in irrigation meters come online, but knowing that people are not yet starting to water their lawn as they will be as we get into summer months, the Infrastructure Committee discussed and decided to recommend to Council a 2-month extension, so that would move it from April 30th of 17 to June 30th. This is still the same time period for the credit, which is this past summer in June, July, and August. Staff would be happy to, again, post on our website and put in our upcoming summer newsletter this extension to let residents know that that one-time credit from last year to get an irrigation meter installed would still be available now to an extended deadline of 6/30/17 if council so moves.
Would you like a motion to the effect?
Yes, please.
So moved.
Motion by Councilmember Peterson, support
Support.
by the Mayor Pro Tem. Madam Clerk, the roll, please.
Dalton?
Yes.
Russell?
Yes.
Cuthbertson?
Yes.
Peterson?
Yes.
Ray?
Yes.
Consideration of the Infrastructure Committee's recommendation on roads. Mr. Councilmember Ray.
All right, my name is Rob Ray, and it is time to rock and roll on roads. For everybody keeping track at home, the reason my word count is 11 so far tonight is because I saved it all for this presentation. So this is a Rochestastic high-level summary of what the Infrastructure Committee has been looking over in terms of roads and specifically to come back to council and provide a summary on where we're at and roughly a 90% kind of completion handle on the project. So in terms of a background, within the council packet was a summary of all the previous meetings and motions and conversations and all the details. But going back to the inception, the committee was formed back on June 27th of last year. We've met numerous times. The committee has made many recommendations, checks, informative presentations to council to kind of provide progress reports. Council has deliberated on that messaging and then provided infrastructure further instruction in terms of, we understand that's what you've done so far. Yes, move forward in such a fashion. And it was at the last budget planning meeting? Anyways, council had asked for us to come back, so we are doing such. To first illustrate what our current funding looks like when it comes to roads. This chart, as you can see, the most visually taking or noticeable part of this graph is these red bars. These are poor rated roads on the Pacer scale, which again is 10 through 1. Poor is anything 3 and under. Using our current funding strategy or our mix, you notice that the poor rated roads continue to get really bad, right? And our fair, which is the blue, kind of falls off a cliff over the next 5 or 6 years. This is in large part because as road deterioration goes, generally it's easier to save and extend the useful life of a road early on through regular maintenance, but as roads get worse, they get worse faster. Okay, so the committees recommended, which I'll get into examining the multiple solutions that we've covered and deliberated on. But the one that we've settled on is roughly a $2 million spend each calendar year, right? So we've seen that we've bent this red poor curve down to the part where our good roads, rated 8 through 6, are on par with our poor roads. Now, it's worth noting that within probably the first formal meeting of the infrastructure committee, we had decided that, before we take any step forward, we need to determine where do we want our roads generally to be. And so from that mission or that goal, the infrastructure committee's goal was to always try and look for a solution that would keep the poor rated roads roughly where they're at currently. That was the infrastructure committee's ideal solution. That's what we strive for. Absent that, this is, in short, what we can reasonably afford. Now, to compare and contrast these, there were 3 scenarios, kind of the Goldilocks expression. Scenario A was where we would spend $5 million in each of the 3 years, so a total of $15 million, and then $2 million each year going forward. This accomplished 2 things. This kept the poor rated roads at or just fractionally above their current status, so we didn't lose any ground in terms of our road quality. And the additional spending in the early years bent down the curve, this poor curve. This extra spending loaded up in the front kept this from peaking so much, okay? Going back through, so that got us to our quality standard, but in looking at what the city would look like if we had $5 million of work going into the ground the first 3 calendar years, the city just couldn't handle that much work. We would be just tore up. Not to mention how expensive it was. So then we went to scenario B, which was the infrastructure committee's second take on an update to council, where we said, $5 million is going to be too much. We want to look at $3.5 million, where we would spend $3.5 million in the early years. Here you see there's $2 million in the first year, but $3.5 million in 3 years, and then $2 million thereafter. That again was, from the committee's perspective, just not financially feasible. So, this lands us at the $2 million scenario, which is where we think we can get to through a combination of a number of different funding mechanisms. I think it's understood, but it's worth noting that the scenario A was the infrastructure's original recommendation, and certainly met the quality standards that the infrastructure loosely adopted to move forward. Here is a map of the city, and there are maybe difficult to see, but on the left-hand side, you have dotted lines. On the right-hand side, we have solid lines. Each color is denoted for a particular year, but the dotted lines reflect mill and fill projects. These are the most cost-effective, the most time-effective projects. Reconstructs are the ground up. That's digging everything up and really getting in there. You see them scattered across the city. The infrastructure committee's been careful to thoughtfully plan out matching projects from west side to east side, a combination of mill and fill or reconstructs so that, there's not an absurd congregation of projects all in one place, right? It's thoughtfully spread out through the city. The other thing I should note is that the program that the infrastructure committee is working on realizing is one that addresses roads through a logical, scientific, engineered process. We're addressing roads by the numbers and in areas of hotspots where there's an opportunity. If we have a road project and there are known water, sewer, utility issues, we're mapping those through GIS software and thoughtfully getting in at everything whenever the opportunity presents itself. One thing I'll call out, this section of Logger Circle, which happens to be the street I live on. I immediately thought, well, why don't we do the whole street? Because I know everybody's going to say, well, why'd you only do part of the street? Aesthetics aside, that's the part of the street that needs to be done. If we were to do the whole street, we would likely be redoing good road that still has more useful life and not as thoughtfully as possible using every dollar. So we're certainly not looking at roads willy-nilly. We're trying to get the most bang for the proverbial buck. There was a request to get a sense of what projects might be scheduled in which years. I should note that this is a rough timeline. We do have more Payzer information coming in for 2017. It's been determined that regardless of the outcome of the Payzer ratings for 2017, which happen every 2 years, the fact that a thoughtful approach to addressing our infrastructure needs, specific, and in this case roads, doesn't change. Payzer information is only going to possibly reshuffle the deck in terms of what projects can get prioritized, pull ahead, versus maybe can get delayed in the grand scheme of thing in terms of the scheduling. So we have two running columns. We have city side, DDA district. These projects that are asterisked or highlighted in yellow, these are the reconstructs. So these are the solid lines that were on the previous map. These other projects are the mill and fill. Specific scheduling, obviously to be communicated. You'll see here, roughly this gets us to a $2 million spend in 2018. 2019, again, here's a kind of like a general overview of what projects we're thinking of. Again, highlighted. These are full reconstructs with utilities. 2020, lots of milling and filling. One reconstruct. 2021, and so forth. So this is a high-level view of what 5 years of projects might look like. The infrastructure committee has identified more projects that haven't been included here, but I think for the purpose of getting this started, we're demonstrating that we have a working knowledge of the body of work that needs to be done within the city, reasonably the priority that should be addressed, but with the flexibility that based on information and timing that we can address them in a conscious fashion. Wait, there's more. Okay, so now how to get there. There are a series of funding mechanisms to get there, which are all not exclusive. Act 51, general fund surplus. The infrastructure committee has recommended that any surplus moving forward, that 75% of that be earmarked for roads or other, related projects, that if we had an extra dollar of revenue, where would it go? 75% there. Partnering with the DDA, future revenue, and a proposed $250,000 to be assessed across the city and the DDA. One important factor, which I said that this was a 90% complete program or plan, is that the $2 million a year, the recommendation set forth by the committee, addresses, for the most part, the broad majority of the, call it day-to-day projects within the city. The committee feels that we ought to strive that if there's an opportunity to reach for more funding, certainly to get closer to that 3.5, whatever we can do to move in that direction, but this is a very baseline thing. In that program mindset, there are, however, 2 or 3 standard deviation projects that are unique enough that the $2 million doesn't directly address them, while keeping all of the other projects on schedule. We could certainly fund them, but then that would mean postponing work on everywhere else in the city. So it's the committee's ask or recommendation that, while this is the baseline case, the recommendation, we still need to hammer out how to address those specific projects and come back in 30 days to to council to say, how we're going to fund these. But for the most part, as laid out, the $2 million a year project does a fair amount of the work. And so from here, Ludlow is a big project. We want to greenlight that, and get that paid out, put this in the budget. Other stuff to come. Discuss this millage, and that it would be earmarked only for major and local roads. It's not a general fund deal. It's strictly for this purpose. Within the 30-day ask or what have you on the South Street and Letica concepts to meet with the DDA and work on this partnership, this funding agreement between the two entities. Report back to council on May 8th, and then certainly develop a communications plan. I personally would add a 6, if I can. I guess since Liberty, I'm holding the pointer. 6 that the either council direct the committee or the committee take the task upon themselves to adopt a operating agreement, but like a policies and procedures, something that dictates how, once assuming that this plan moves forward and it manifests itself, how it's going to be managed moving forward. My suspicion is that the committee might look and operate differently than it has to date, and that the execution of all of this critically hinges on, on what the committee does moving forward. So that is our report.
Well, first, I'm gonna go first. Excellent job. I want to thank all 3 of you and the committee members for your hard work on this. I'm interested because when you were going through the slides, I'm thinking, I don't see South Street, and it's so important. I don't see South Street and Letica. So I'm actually kind of liking how you addressed everything but those 2 big projects, because for me personally, South Street is so important because of the issues that are going on down there. So I'm glad you didn't put it in the big with everything else, because I think this is to me, this is a lot easier to work with. I know that this plan is the recommendation, how we're gonna do it, moving forward 20 years for, what it's going to look like each year, but then separately address those two biggies, which are to me glaring biggies that we need to talk about. So, great presentation. I know that it's been hard for all of you to meet and frustrating sometimes because of schedules, but I appreciate the fact that all the hard work all of you have done and heavy lifting. I want to thank Dennis. I know he couldn't be here, he's down in Florida, and then the engineers and city administration. But, from first glance, I think it's a great presentation. I like your recommendations so far. Obviously, we're going to get into the details. The devil's always in the details, but from a higher level, thank you. I like it so far. Mayor Pro Tem, did you?
Well, again, thank you so much, because this is a big, big project, and I know this is Councilmember Cuthbertson's kind of, you really brought it forth with your pictures in the very beginning, and I know that you guys worked really hard to pull this together. The slide with the buckets, do we have that? I don't see that in my packet. Do we have that? Did I miss that?
It's towards the end.
Oh, so I don't have that. Okay. Okay, that's fine. So I think that looks doable. The one thing that I'm not sure about would be the 75%, the general fund annual surplus, dedicating 75% of roads, because that's not including water or sewer. So what if something significantly happens and now we're tied that surplus up in roads and we're already doing a 0.75 mil? So I'm not sure I totally understand the philosophy, but it sounds like you do.
Oh, if Jeff wants to chime in, but
You're doing a fabulous
yeah,
job.
I know. I'm like
I
master and
didn't say
commander. Right. So, in terms of if something happens to water main or something like that, we have started to address that through the water funding. The capital component that's in there.
Mm-hmm.
So we're starting to address that. I think at a high level, the committee's talked about this. Me personally, I would agree that road funding should become a budget item related task, or a task, but a mechanism that the future councils talk about, just like we talk about anything else. If you talk about fire, talk about police, talk about this, that, the other thing.
Yep.
Should talk about roads, and this is just one way to get there, and certainly it's up for debate, but I think is a substantial down payment that doesn't put other infrastructure aspects of the city at risk through not funding them.
Right. So I really think that, I can appreciate where you're coming from, that we are starting to address that, but that fund is significantly low, just because of the projects that we've had to do this in the last couple of years. So that's, I think you're right, is something that we have to talk about. It should be a line item and what that looks like. I think that's important. But I think I have to really understand there's consequences, right? There's good consequences, there's bad consequences, whether you have great intentions and you think this is a great thing, but as you go down the years, it could trigger something that might not be smart. So I really want to think about because you're dedicating now, that's a pretty significant, amount of money that you could do with. I don't know what the projects would be, because we're really tying the council's hands ahead of us. I'm sure there's mechanisms that they could do to untie that, but just something to think about. Each year, it's not going. It looks like, from what my understanding of the process is, that this is going to be a flex. It's not that when you're looking at the cost of these things and the roads that we're doing, it's going to be fluctuating. So we have to continue to build the bank to have those big years and those small years. So I think, that makes a lot of sense. So I am, especially after our last meeting that we met on the bond, I'm very excited that, well, not that excited, but excited that we're going to the mill model. Does this max out our mills?
No.
Okay. I don't think so, but just want to make sure. Then the other thing on the PASER data, because I've been a big proponent of that, and I do understand that it is what it is as far as we have 2 years of data. I think that third data point will really help us to figure out. Some roads are probably going to be worse, some are going to be better. Traffic, construction, there's all different kinds of things that happen with that. So I really would love to see that data pulled together, and really understanding where the DDA comes with this, because we have, and I see asterisks that the DDA, this hasn't been presented to the executive board, or tell me about that, because there's asterisks in that report.
Yeah, I can cover that. I know that myself and Councilmember Ray have had detailed discussions with a couple of members of the executive committee of the DDA. I know the mayor sits there as well. So this isn't a matter that's going to come as a surprise to someone to or the board, frankly, to be working together to get to a joint funding agreement that recognizes that there's a lot of above ground work that needs to happen in the DDA district, and it needs to be a partner in funding that capital allocation. So one of the takeaways here is to specifically tell the committee, look, we want you to go have those discussions now that this plan is somewhat crystallized, right? Go and have those discussions, get that worked out, right? So that when you come back, we can have that piece of what is a 9-piece funding bucket, right, committed, at least in principle. Okay. And if we pull out any one of these 9 funding mechanisms, it doesn't work. To put together a $2 million block of capital to be able to save and or spend each year requires a meaningful contribution from all of those 9 funding sources. And one piece that hasn't been addressed in there is the use of the general fund balance. Okay, and this is really getting, I think, maybe to the mayor's point a little bit. Okay, well, how do we address South Street and Letica in this more broadly? And when you're talking about the size of projects there, they are $3+ million each. And to be able to do that anytime in the relative near future, you very likely are talking about a bonding situation, right? And so how do you, if you want to go down that path and you want to fix those roads, how can you produce revenue to service that debt? And so I think that's the next 30 days is to say, okay, we recognize that this is a gap here, and a fairly big one. I mean, we've been talking about South Street for 7-8 years. We've had the fire chief tell us, folks, there is I think a 4-inch water main down there. There are industrial buildings down there. This is a clear and present danger in terms of a public safety matter. Okay, so when we're talking about infrastructure, I mean, we are talking about upsizing the water main, and some of the resources from that will be available to help with the paving on one side of the street, right? But for me, to try to land this airplane, right, on what we do as a community moving forward without that suitcase being dealt with, right, without that being in the hold, to me would seem that we're not fully addressing the matter in the way I think the council and the community has asked us to do. So that piece really is what I think escaped us in the last 30 days here, being able to finish that and to be able to work from a financial planning standpoint to address that piece. It may well be that there is no near-term solution that can be afforded. We may have to recognize that. I'm not ready to give up on it. But you know, in coming at this, you know, knowing that what's really needed to meaningfully change this curve, and just so that folks at home maybe can't read this, right now about 32 to 34% of our roads are in poor condition. In 2023, that number doubles, and it peaks in about 2027, just shy of 90% of our roads being in poor condition in this community if we continue to do what we do today. And so, you know, I have heard, you know, expressions from people, well, geez, you know, this road isn't that bad, this part of the city's newer, this part has been rebuilt. The point that Councilmember Ray, you know, hit on earlier was when the roads have reached a certain point in their useful life, they decay very quickly, and it happens. I mean, this is what's going to happen. And so, how much further do we want to get into the roads being really bad before we start to bend that curve down? And the longer we push this out, the more expensive and longer it's going to be to begin to bend that downward. So we really are at an inflection point, maybe a couple of years later than, you know, the economy been a little better, then we probably would have liked to be in this position. But here we are. And so for me to try to put a capstone on this effort, trying to find some methodology by which we can address those two outliers, to me is a matter of quality and doing a thorough and proper job with this work. Until we can put something in front of council, I think from my perspective, our work isn't quite finished.
Well, and I guess, you know, and I appreciate, you know, you addressing that those outliers, but that is part of this whole project, this whole policy setting, this whole recommendation has to have those two pieces of it, because now now what I'm hearing is there's a possibly bond for those, and that's fine. I don't know if I agree or disagree, I don't know, but it really needs to be part of the whole package, because that's part of the infrastructure, that's the roads, and those are the two main components. And I know we have development on Letica with Cedarbrook, and we have, you know, I don't know what's going on with DEQ. I don't know what the timing of, not DEQ. So, no, it's not DEQ. But you know the oh my goodness, when they're doing the infrastructure, the sewer, water, those are big ticket items, very big ticket items, and
We wanted to bring that here tonight. That was our goal, was to have a bow on this tonight. Timing and some data, you know, events notwithstanding, that wasn't in the cards for tonight. So what we wanted to say is, you know, look, here is good, right?
Right.
And you know, this is a little bit like what is it that perfection is the enemy of achieving the good, you know, and striving for perfection is the enemy of trying to implement the good. And so my takeaway, I think, was, okay, and I realize we're down to two people here today,
Right.
but, you know, look, this makes, at least at the highest level, some sense. We're generally understanding where you're going. Please continue to do the next steps and present us a fully fleshed out plan with some options on these other two projects, so that, you know, in two council meetings, you know, there really is the ability to act decisively on this package. And it gives people time to kind of settle in and ask questions
it
as
does.
well.
So I got two other things. Okay, so the policy piece of it, I think, is, I mean, is it the chicken or the egg or the chicken? So what is the policy piece of it? is it 30% poor? I don't know. I don't know what the other surrounding communities are. I don't have data. I have no idea. But I think we'll probably get there together as a council. And then the other thing is the life expectancy of these roads. Where are these roads where we predict the life expectancy to be, so we have good assurances that these are going to last? So blacktop is supposed to last, I don't know, 16, 15, 17 years, something like that. Concrete's around 20 years. So are they holding up currently to what we're doing? And if we're not, why?
Short answer is no.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's the, I mean, so the part, what my part of my problem is, okay, so if the short answer is no, then how are we gonna make sure that our life expectancy of those roads, and it's, I'm sure through a maintenance program or something that's gonna help us.
It's maintenance, it's specs. We've
Specs.
changed the road specs.
Specs, okay, that's good.
It's inspection of the work as it's being done.
Third-party inspection.
Right? And, we've clearly had some legacy issues in all three of those areas.
Right.
That are in part, why we're at where we're at today. The tough part here, is we're never gonna get to the 30%, poor roads standard under this model. It's just, financially, until there's long-term substantial new development that we can add $1 million, roughly speaking, a year to this solution, can we get down to that 30% threshold? We think that's the right one, right? But realistically, the community can't afford to get there without a huge ask on taxpayers. And even this has a modest ask.
Absolutely.
At 0.75 mils for a $300,000 home, it's about $112 on an annualized basis. It's about 32 cents a day, give or take. And
that doesn't cover the two major roads.
Correct. It doesn't
So,
address
I mean,
those
because then we're moving, so, I mean, it's a difficult question.
You're preaching to the choir, Councilmember
Yeah,
Russell.
I know.
Or, excuse me, Madam Mayor Pro Tem.
So it's, you have the information you need to move forward. You're gonna go ahead and take the next steps that you talked about here, correct? I mean,
Presumably, yeah,
You're getting the nod from the two council members.
I want to make sure that, we got the DDA on board and that's presented to them, that we understand the funding mechanism of our two major hotspots, which is Letica and South Street, and what that looks like. And, again, I'm not a big fan of allocating the overage. I don't have that in front of me now, but the 75%, because I really think we're tying our hands on other issues, but maybe I can be convinced of that. Maybe I don't quite understand,
I was gonna say, absent my neighbors here, that in some respect, I get that it's a it should be a tied up package in the two, but I think you could almost look at them in some respects independently. That what will come from the infrastructure committee as it relates to South Street and Letica will kind of be unique solutions for those specific roads.
Mm-hmm.
But that this piece, on its face, addresses, for the most part, the vast majority of the day-to-day kind of the neighborhood streets,
Right, right.
the everyday projects. And and to give you the time to ask questions or follow up, that sort of thing, so that if this piece makes sense, then when we come back to you and talk about the projects, hopefully we'll have addressed this and you've landed on, and asked the questions and everything, so that you're kind of square one way or the other. And then all we're doing is talking about those two unique ones and not all of infrastructure, kind of like all over again.
Yeah.
All right, great.
Could I mean, for sake of some formality to this, I actually would like, and I think it would make some sense, to have a motion to ask this infrastructure committee to pursue the next steps, as well as a specific recommendation or options as it relates to Letica and South Street. as being, to undertake the next step work. Certainly 1 through 4 up there, 5 kind of follows once we have a decision made. But hey, go do this work and bring us something that makes sense along these lines. And I'd feel more comfortable that.
I'm not ready to make a motion that we're going to have 7.5 mils. I like the direction you're going, but I don't want this to be set in stone. I think
So-
we still have.
Actually, he's not, you're asking for infrastructure to go back and finish and make this come back as a complete package with options for us to choose from.
To have us take the next steps to prepare what would be necessary to do these things. This is not a policy decision to do any of it other than to say, hey, committee, we want you to go do these things. And I think in terms of, this process needs to get a little tighter and a little more formal in some respects. And, again, it isn't a request for any budget action. It's simply saying, go explore these issues and do it and bring them back to us.
I'm comfortable moving, because I would like to get this in a more formal, and then give the other council members time. And I do like Councilmember Ray's suggestion about what the committee looks like, similar to what the Parking Advisory Committee, moving forward, it would be a committee that's a standing committee that meets and kind of goes over everything.
On a side note, Director Filarecki, in rereading her resume, I'm very anxious about her starting next Monday because she happens to have extensive knowledge about design standards, construction, engineering of roads, negotiating with the GWLA over rate structures, and creating water booster stations. So she has a wealth of knowledge, which I think will further put a point on this project.
So, is anybody willing to make a motion?
I just have one more
Yes,
thing.
absolutely.
Yeah, I guess the other concern I have is just making sure that on our list of the buckets of where we're going to find the money, that we are 100% clear on that, where it's coming from out of each one of those places, that it is going to be solid, and we're not really relying on a whole bunch of future money that's not here yet.
So, as of today, the money
Correct.
that's in there. Okay.
Correct.
All right, so,
Oh, and one other thing, based on the water report earlier, Helen Street needs to be put in this list of roads to be done as well, because if we're gonna go in on the water side where it's a reconstruct, we'll have to add that somewhere. in our
From a
list.
scheduling standpoint.
Correct.
okay. So,
I don't know that it should come from a member of the
well,
committee.
I can't make it. So, Mayor Pro Tem, are you ready, or you know? I mean, if you're not, that's okay.
I mean,
I don't
I
wanna
feel
wait
like
till the
I'm
next
getting,
meeting, Madam
I
Mayor.
mean, I'll make a motion that to accept the report, to go to the next steps, and to come back on May 8th.
I will happily support the motion.
I know.
We'll go back to work.
Thanks.
Madam Clerk, the roll, please.
Dalton?
Yes.
Russell?
Yes.
Cuthbertson?
Yes.
Peterson?
Yes.
Ray?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, next receiver report from the Planning Commission. Councilmember Cuthbertson.
Thank you. There were a number of items primarily related to agenda items you saw tonight with respect to zoning text amendments for the master plan implementation. But of most particular note was the four-story office building proposed by Frank Rewald and Son for construction, roughly between Rochester Mills building and the Royal Park Hotel on the, roughly speaking, west bank of the Paint Creek. And it was, from a use and, general size standpoint, I think generally well received in terms of an office use. It sounds like there's some, potential new business tenants, companies coming in to take, a large portion of the building on a floor basis kind of setting. So that was good. There's obviously a lot of work to be done from, special project standpoint. There's some varying opinions on architectural finish, but I've been assured that there have been some revisions and improvements in that regard. One thing that I expressed as being probably important to when this project lands here for special project approval is some idea of what the campus of developments looks like. Because what we were talking about tonight in terms of the MDEQ matter, it's to clean up the entire subject site, which contemplates another development on this particular, on that improved parcel. So it's not just this office building; it's something, at the corner of Water and Third. And I think, to be fair to, when we look at this as an all-in decision,
Absolutely.
that it's not just an office building, it's not just $1 million loan, it's not just $1 million grant, but it is a series of developments. Now, I've been around this long enough to know that economies change, and potential purchasers may move about, and that this is all in some respects theoretical from a campus kind of setting. But I'd like us to be able to not just make a decision in a vacuum as it relates to this one project, and understand that it's part of something more, which is an exciting more, as I've seen it. But it kind of goes to some of the discussion we had tonight on the timeline for this loan package. Is we may need a little bit of time to look at this thing holistically and know what it is for all of these developments. I'm not one that's interested in being spoon-fed one thing at a time, to get to a particular place that may or may not be the right thing all in. I'm confident that from what I've seen, I don't think that's at play, but being rushed into one-off decisions can sometimes not have the fullness of analysis that I think we've all wanted to do. So that said, we're waiting, I guess, on a couple more developments. There's probably a request for a substantive change to certainly to layout and potentially architecture on Cedar Brook. I'll maybe leave Nick to report a little bit on that, and then what we're expecting, sort of looking forward into the next meeting.
Madam Mayor, make this brief. Good news is I met with Mr. Ewald and his team today and talked about exactly the campus plan, traffic studies, looking at the big picture, so we can't do this piece by piece by piece, and they'll have that all set for the June Planning Commission meeting. So they're all on board. They get it. They understand why, including every domino that he talked about in front of us. And he knows about the economy can change, but he's got a master plan that says, it's like, get it on paper and get it to the Planning Commission and City Council. So that was good. On Cedar Brook, in short, 5 months, and this is public knowledge, I think it is. 5 months ago, it was $179 a square foot to build that building, which is a big ticket. You're talking tens of millions of dollars. 5 months later, it's now $274 a square foot to build. You do the math. If you knew the size of that building, it's $10 million or more upcharged just because the economy's doing so well. Builders are busy. Detroit's booming. You can't find contractors, etc. So they will not change the theory, I guess, behind what they stand for. The highest quality there is. There's little things they looked at. They could do, like, it's Michigan. They built 77 balconies for folks that are in memory care, and they're probably not allowed to go out on the balcony. You could save a lot of money, quite frankly, on things like that. You can pick up a few more units without changing the size of the building, but taking the big 2 bedrooms down to one revenue source. Drop the building a little lower, which will allow the bottom floor to be more usable. So they're looking at these little tweaks, changing the some of the materials, but keeping them of the highest quality. So they're going to come back next meeting and talk about that to try to bridge that gap a little bit. And they're fully committed to it, the project, but it's the sign of times right now. Things get expensive. And then we have a plan at the corner of Water and 4th Street. There's a little white house on the corner, kitty corner from the Mills driveway. And the gentleman that owns that would like to tear it down. His daughter came back into town. She wants to have her office on the first floor, and he'll build a condo for himself. He's elderly, on the second floor so he can live there. And he wasn't quite ready. Vidya gave him a pretty good review, and we needed to come back to that. So we're looking forward to that. The elevator is still on hold until they can work out some financial things. So they're getting other environmental experts to help them understand this total cost. So we'll stay busy.
Thank you.
And one more thing, we elected new officers of the Planning Commission based on Mr. Torrey's departure to a smaller home, apparently. And so Mr. Kingsep was elected chair. Ms. DeMarco was elected vice chair, and Mr. Kohler was appointed secretary.
Yes.
Thank you.
I'd like to appoint 2 new people as soon as possible to planning, so please, I'm going to start looking at applications this week. Thank you. Next, we'll move on to item new business for referral and miscellaneous. Consideration of a request from the DPW for 3 replacement trucks. Mr. City Manager.
Yep, I'll take this one. So basically, in order to get 3 trucks that we will need for this upcoming winter season, we need the authorization to place the order before April 15th. The 3 trucks, we've gone through our full analysis with, to schedule if they were up for due to age, maintenance and repairs, mileage, hours, condition for our next fiscal budget. They all are going to be contained in our revolving equipment fund that would be in this upcoming budget and paid out of there. And all of them are off of various cooperative lists. So they would either be at the state purchasing contract, Macomb County contract, or the Rochester Hills Municipal Cooperative. All those are attached. All of them, with both the trucks and their equipment, are all within what we were projecting to be in budget. In addition, we really don't want to spend the money to actually use them just in November for the repair costs. So we would like to place this order now so we're not getting there. And then also we would get the most value back for this equipment. And we're estimating the auction value for the total of the 3 to be somewhere between $52,000 and $62,000. So the total purchase that we're looking to be able to move forward is $423,416. Again, we budgeted, or will be budgeting in the proposed budget here that you've received tonight, $433. So this is under budget. And then we would be able to get the auction price for the 3 pieces of equipment that we have now, these 3 vehicles, once the new ones are in place. So tonight, I'm recommending that City Council allow the ordering of the 3 vehicles, and I'm happy to answer any questions, and I know the supporting materials are back here too.
Council. Yeah, Councilmember Peterson.
Just real quick, so this has already all been budgeted?
Well, it's in the proposed budget,
In the
and
proposed
yeah,
budget.
we continue to have an evolving equipment and vehicle fund.
Mhm.
So we schedule, like when we purchase that vehicle, we're already starting to set aside dollars for the replacement. We just happen to have a 12-month window for our purchasing that doesn't line up with when we would want to, to really place the order and then have the equipment. We want it ready for this November.
Okay, and I guess, are there any other vehicles that need to come out of it between now and next year?
There are other vehicles. There's just a few. These are the only ones that need to be ordered now, so that we'll actually get them in service in time for the winter season. When I do a brief presentation overall on the budget at the next meeting on the 24th, I'll actually touch on the few other vehicles that are up as part of the revolving equipment.
Okay.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Yeah, I have a couple questions. So what is the life expectancy of these new vehicles?
So typically, we're looking at, so the challenge is right now not all of this new equipment or the current equipment has been in buildings, so they are prematurely wearing. Talking with our mechanics and with the, I don't want to get too far ahead. I know we're having a meeting and we're trying to even schedule that special meeting sometime in May on all of our assets. But all of this equipment would be able to be placed within our existing DPW facilities, so that we're expecting somewhere between 8 to 12 years for each of these pieces of equipment. These are pretty much big trucks that are the dumpers. So you have the chassis, and then you have the dump component bed on them.
So on some of the vehicles, can we have the same chassis so that if we have an issue on the body of the vehicle, then, I mean, it's too bad our Mrs. Filarecki isn't here, that we have to make this decision, ahead of her arriving. But basically, all three of these, they're between like 7 and 10 years old, but they're less than 4,000 miles a year that are being used. And so, but these are, snow plows, so they're being used very diligently and harshly, and it's not something that's,
They're heavily used.
They're heavily used.
Yeah.
And who's doing the preparation of the?
Sure. So it's first reviewed by our mechanic, and then our streets foreman.
Okay.
And these actually, I did spend time with our soon-to-be director, and she is in agreement that all three of these should be ordered now, and paid for out of the upcoming fiscal budget. So there was a little notation, but I do want, she's already aware of these, and the reason to have them ordered so that we'd have them in time for the upcoming winter season.
I mean, I guess, and on all of our vehicles, I would love to see it outside the department and in a third party, not even within the city, just maybe swap cities. I mean, I don't know, because then you don't get the pressure of, making those
Sure, I'd be happy
replacements.
to talk with some of our neighboring communities. Maybe Rochester Hills, one of their mechanics could, review our vehicles, and we probably could reciprocate on theirs.
So I move to approve the purchases of the 10-ton dump truck snow plow. Is that good enough?
Yep.
Okay.
Motion by Mayor Pro Tem. Do I have support?
Support.
Councilmember Ray supported. I'll do it that way. Councilmember Cuthbertson.
Thank you. This is actually a very unique situation I find myself in here. I think I may be the only person sitting up here who was a part of the purchase decision for the 2006 or 2007 Peterbilt vehicles. So I've survived, longer than a snowplow. Your mileage may vary. When we were sold these vehicles from a council budgeting standpoint, we were told that these were the best of the best and they would last 12 to 15 years. And they have not. That is a source of, obvious frustration for me in looking at this. But I'm not, that those are commitments made by, folks that aren't here. But nevertheless, it does raise the, of course, the question that, it doesn't take, a real keen eye to see the fact that the road commission and other communities seem to get by, and they have 20-year-old trucks on the road and they plow the roads just fine. And our trucks always look a heck of a lot newer when they're on the road and when we take them out of service. So, that's just sort of a general observation that, I think nags at people, and it does at me from time to time, and I see the Mayor Pro Tem, nodding her head in that regard as well. And, nobody wants to be operating poor, substandard, or unsafe equipment, but, certainly for me, in now replacing vehicles that were, sold to be lasting, another 5 or 6 years, it really becomes again an act of faith, okay? And when you do these things from a budget standpoint, or you agree to raise parking rates as an act of faith in future things happening, and when those things more often than you'd like don't happen, it affects your ability to take some of these things on faith. And I don't know if that's going through 12 budgets speaking now, but at the macro level, that stuff adds up over time, and it leaves me with some difficulty in continuing to just go ahead with it. My inclination and my reaction to that isn't to simply say no to everything, because that isn't leadership. But at the same time, I do feel in some ways compelled to contextualize this a little bit, if only to make myself feel better in undertaking this act of faith. But it isn't lost on me that every person may have their breaking point on these sorts of things, and I guess I understand that. So I'll support it this evening, but my faith is a bit threadbare in some of these things. So thank you.
Councilmember Ray, and then I'll go back.
I think just an echo from previous sister city meetings past. Is there any opportunity for group purchase fleet sales? Trying to think of the conversations that
We
we've
actually
had.
are participating. So one of these is actually through the Rochester Hills Municipal Purchase Cooperative. The other one is actually through the Macomb County Purchase Cooperative, and the third one is actually through the state. So all three of them are through cooperatives.
Thank you.
Yep.
Mayor Pro Tem.
And I would like it to reflect in the minutes that what the life expectancy is to be, and that the trucks that we're replacing did not meet its life expectancy. Because if we don't have this
Okay.
recorded in the minutes, we don't know for the next time in I don't know if Councilmember Cuthbertson's going to be around another.
I will be around, but just not up here.
But so, we have to get this under control. We do, because we are replacing vehicles and their life expectancy is, now I have a pile of data myself, and it's not meeting up to expectation.
Councilmember Peterson.
Well, thank you, Madam Mayor. I guess a lot of that has to do with, we don't have the proper storage for this stuff, so we're going to continue to do this until we have them properly stored, and that's why the other municipalities around us have, their vehicles lasting a lot longer.
So my hope is when we meet in May, we can address those issues. Madam Clerk, the roll, please.
Dalton.
Yes.
Russell.
Yes.
Cuthbertson.
Yes.
Peterson.
Yes.
Ray.
Yes.
Next, we move on to receive the check register and city manager updates. Mr. City Manager.
Yep. Continuing on, there are just a few check register reports. Let's see, I think there's two. Sorry, they're double-sided in my packet. So we had the 330 and the 331. And for my miscellaneous items, I just wanted to highlight that tonight I passed out, or at your station, is the updated budget binder. So what's going forward now, the next meeting is going to be on the 24th. I will be providing a brief presentation on the proposed budget, and then it'll be up for Council's consideration for adoption on the following meeting on the 8th. Next, I want to note that we do have the school crossing guard position posted. The deadline is April 18th. Working with the chief, we were able to actually get that, not just waiting until our next fiscal budget, but able to actually get it into this budget. And the final thing that I want to note is anticipating tonight's long agenda and meeting, I did move the 2017 resident survey, but I do want to let everybody know the results have been tabulated. Been working with our department directors and our management intern on a final presentation, and we're scheduling that for the next meeting again on the 24th.
Thank you.
That's what I have.
I'm going to go to general public comment at the end of the meeting. Does anybody have any public comment at the end this evening? I will go to regular miscellaneous. Mr. Deputy City Manager.
Good, thank you.
Madam Clerk.
Just one item, we already mentioned it this evening, but I want to mention it again. The filing deadline for City Council petitions is Tuesday, April 25th at 4 p.m. There is also a notice on the front page of the website regarding that, along with some additional information, and also there will be a notice in the Post this Thursday.
Thank you. Mr. City Attorney.
Nothing, thank you.
Councilmember Ray.
Just to congratulate Brian Stewart on his tie for 36th place at the Masters, the final round. His final round was a 73 at a low of 70. And he just happens to be an Oakland University graduate.
Figured that one.
Councilmember Cuthbertson.
I have about 11 expenditures I'd like to ask some questions about this evening, but I'll save them for the next meeting. I'm completely kidding.
I know
Nothing
you are.
this evening.
Councilmember Peterson.
I do have one. I just want to let the public know that Rah has opened their new sport fitness center, and it is fabulous, and everyone should come check it out.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem.
I have a couple things. There was a couple of complaints that I received. On Sunday, there was lawn service out, so it's starting. It was on, I think it was on Mahaffey, somewhere in the neighborhood. So on Sundays, they're not supposed to have lawn services?
Why?
Or how?
You can cut your, yeah, Sunday.
Oh, I thought that was for personal cut, not service cut.
I'll check.
Okay,
I'll
that's
check that.
fine. I mean,
Yeah.
it's fine.
I think
mean,
we're okay with lawn services.
And then there's, I know this is a small thing, but someone wants it removed. There's been a mattress behind the trash on the Lysander Apartments, and it hasn't been removed, even though there's been a couple phone calls. And then the other complaints I've been getting the last couple of weeks is the Suave land and the barricades. It looks, I just drove my bike over there to see what they were talking about. It looks awful.
Yeah. So I can give you a quick update. So they submitted their LOMAR. It's the final review from our engineers to the state to get everything finalized. They have to come back compact. They have to leave the barricades up until they compact the last part of the trail. It's not quite done yet, so then everything gets taken away. Then they seed, and they'll be better in the spring. So they're aware of that, and you're right, it's sloppy, but we have to keep them up just until they get this review.
Okay,
So
that's
it should
fine.
be quick.
Okay,
Yeah.
super.
Yep.
And then the parking passes that we give out, I mean, they're not hanging on the thing, so are they just a card, or how does that work?
Decks are cards, and then there are hangers on your,
meters.
if you're in surface lots.
Okay.
But the decks are cards.
Because I'm just concerned about, especially now that we're at our pass capacity, again, I think they need to park on the top floor. And if they don't have a pass in there and they just have a card that they can give to a car holder, we have no idea if they're using the same car that they reported that they're going to be using for the pass. So, I mean, you can't get good data with that. So I really would love to see the parking committee, when you're giving out those passes, that they have to park on the top floor. Because they're just being, I mean, I can see it when they come in and out. They're
We've been consistent with that, so we'll take that under the
Yeah.
packet again. So, yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
going to continue to be consistent.
Yep.
All right, thank you.
I just have the State of the City is Monday, April 17th, 7 p.m. I did something a little different this year. Actually, it's not that different, though. I went back and looked at past State of the Cities, and one year we did have the DDA do part of the presentation. This year, because we have so many events going on, I asked the Business Development Committee, and because they do an annual presentation every year, if they'd like to do something together. So it will be the State of the City. Nick will come up and give a business development update, and then I will close the State of the City. But we are over 200 RSVPs, so I'd like to encourage the community to come out. I've been working on my slides. It's going to be good. So,
I'm sure it is.
yeah, now that I've done one, I'm, more comfortable. So I want to encourage the residents to come out because that's, super important for them to see what's going on in the community. So I will now close the meeting and Do I need to make the consideration?
Correct.
Yeah. So we'll make a motion to consideration of a request to go into closed session to conduct a strategy and negotiation session, connect with negotiation of a collective bargaining agreement
So moved.
Without
without returning.
Yep.
I have a motion by Councilmember Peterson, support by the Mayor Pro Tem. Madam Clerk, the roll.
Dalton?
Yes.
Russell?
yes.
Cuthbertson?
Please do it. I promise it won't be long.
Yes.
Yes.
Peterson?
Yes.
And Ray?
Yes.
We're going to make this